Hey, what's up guys, it's your boy KCM What Ifs. Today we are gonna be reading Hashirama's Heir, or What If Naruto Was Hashirama's Successor. So sit back, relax and enjoy. On the way back to Konoha were 9 people. Well, not necessarily a path since they stopped for the night in a clearing and were only a day out from Konoha. These 9 were Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Kuratsuchi, Haku, Chojuro, Suigetsu, Karen, and Yugo. Jiraiya left them earlier needing to be somewhere else, and technically, the last 3 were prisoners. Except for Suigetsu. He was a cool dude and not committed to Orochimaru like Karen and Yugo were. The 4th member of their team, Kuratsuchi, was actually in a fight with the leader of the group, Naruto, at the moment. "I'll melt your ass, Namikaze," shouted Kuratsuchi loudly as Naruto took off into the woods. Kuratsuchi didn't know if Naruto was a Namikaze, but she clearly knew who Namikaze Minato was. Her grandfather's stories about the man were some of her favorites, and Naruto matched his description perfectly. This led her to believe they were at least related, just like the rest of IWA did. Kuratsuchi then sat down in the clearing, fuming, as Sasuke placed a hand on her shoulder. "It's okay. He's handling it now," said Sasuke as Kuratsuchi calmed down. "That jerk is taking his sweet time. It's his turn to get the firewood for camp. Then he made us draw straws, and even then he drew the smallest one and still hadn't gone yet. It's freezing out here," shouted an exasperated Kuratsuchi as Sasuke nodded his head. Iwa Kunoichi then remembered something. "Wait a minute, he's a Mokuton user. Can't he just dash?" "Mokuton, Renshuka no Jutsu, wood style, serial pillar houses technique," said Naruto, appearing back in the clearing. 7 perfect houses grew from the ground surrounding the group. Once the houses stopped rising, Naruto smiled at his work. Naruto's smile ended immediately as he was hit with tremendous killing intent from the Rock Princess. "You mean to tell me you could have done this from the start?" shouted an irate Kuratsuchi as Sasuke held her back from attacking Naruto. "We've been out here freezing for 10 minutes and you dash?" Kuratsuchi let out a breath as she grabbed Sasuke by the collar and dragged him into one of the houses. "Let's go. I'm frustrated now and need to relieve some stress." As Sasuke got dragged into the house, he threw a thumbs up to Naruto just before the door closed on the house that Kuratsuchi and himself were staying in for the night. As that happened, Sakura and Chojuro took Karen and Yugo into their own houses, which were both more like prisons truthfully. Once the prisoners were in their house, a seal appeared on the outside as the house sunk into the ground to prevent any attempt of escaping. Sakura and Chojuro then walked into their own respective houses as Haku walked into her house alone, since Suigetsu said a moment was necessary with Naruto before joining her. "Naruto-san," said Suigetsu as Naruto turned to the Hozuki clan member. "Sasuke gave you a thumbs up as he got dragged into his house by Kuratsuchi. Are you telling me that all that with Kuratsuchi earlier was just to help him get laid?" "Something like that," said Naruto as Suigetsu gave a shark-like grin. "No, I'm not your wingman either. It was already bad enough that Kuratsuchi tried to kill me just now, plus, Haku-chan wouldn't fall for something like that." Suigetsu's grin lessened as he realized Naruto was right. "Right, I know. I don't really need it anyway. I have over a decade of tension built up. I've always wondered how you two met. Haku would never tell me. Just calling you her hero and that she'd thought you were dead. You know, there were no Hozukis in Kiri when she went back. She obviously feared the worst. Lo and behold, Sasuke finds out you're there with Orochimaru, tells me, and I actually tell her," said Naruto before realizing he hadn't asked a real question yet. "What's the story?" "You know about the Bloodline War, correct?" asked Suigetsu as Naruto nodded. "Great, it'll make this story short. Haku happened to show off her Kekkai Genkai one day, not knowing that it was a crime to have one, and her father saw it. Now her father, not being a user of ice release or any Kekkai Genkai for that matter, immediately realized his wife was one of them. He goes crazy, kills Haku's mother, and attempts to kill Haku. Luckily, she managed to kill him instead by panicking and releasing her chakra all at once. Naruto's eyes widened hearing that. What a horrible parent to have. But honestly, living was more of a hell for her. She'd lost both of her parents in the span of maybe 10 seconds, and it was essentially her fault due to showing off her abilities. She was delirious and depressed and on the verge of suicidal. Until she found you? Yeah, found me. More so, I stumbled upon myself at the river with my big brother, Mangetsu. We took notice of her and brought her back to our house. She stayed with us for several months and she and I were inseparable. She was my best friend before I even knew what that meant. It was all going great until Orochimaru showed up. Orochimaru kidnapped me after killing Mangetsu when he tried to protect us from the sick freak. The only reason he didn't get Haku was because I pushed her into the river that we'd fled to and she managed to evade capture. Naruto nodded at the words as he smiled. I see why she calls you her hero. That's a nice story, man, said Naruto as he noticed Haku peering out the window at the two of them. You better hurry, I can see she's waiting for you. Suigetsu noticed Haku too and nodded his head at Naruto before holding out a fist for him to bump. Naruto bumps fists with Suigetsu as the Hozuki clan member stood up and went into his house with Haku. Naruto just continued to sit outside as he let the cool air flow through his golden, blonde hair. Naruto eventually got up as he headed to his own house to get some sleep. The next morning. Naruto awoke this morning early as he got ready for the trip ahead. Walking outside his house for the night, Naruto caused it to sink into the ground, destroying evidence of him ever being there. As he did that though, he noticed someone sitting in the tree directly behind his house. Sasuke? Wonder what he's doing, questioned Naruto as he jumped over to his best friend. Naruto took a seat beside Sasuke on the tree branch as they both stared out into the forest in front of them. You were right, said Sasuke as Naruto nodded. I knew Kuratsuchi would want to do it if I got her all riled up like that. No, not that. Well, that's true but not what I'm talking about. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Itachi, you were right. Naruto's jaw dropped remembering what he'd said about Itachi. Sasuke nodded his head before turning to Naruto with his Sharingan on. Kachan told me. Flashback, Sasuke vs Mikoto. It's okay, my baby boy, said Mikoto, turning to see Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan. That was how he escaped her genjutsu so easily. Before you seal me. I'm sure you want to know about what happened the night of the massacre. Sasuke's eyes widened. What? I already know what happened. Itachi probably won't tell you because it was an S-rank mission and he has some type of plan. However, I have no such restriction and I feel you need to know, and I want to hear your answer. Mikoto let out a small smile before getting on with it. On the night of the massacre, what do you remember doing? I was out training. I trained a little longer than normal because I wanted to catch up to Itachi as fast as possible. Right, well, Itachi killed everyone in our clan. That's the story, right? Not just a story. It's what happened. It's a lie, then. Sasuke's brow furrowed as Mikoto closed her eyes. Itachi couldn't have killed everyone. No one, no matter how talented, could defeat the entirety of the Uchiha clan. Okay, that just means I have another target besides Itachi then. Itachi cried before killing us. Your father and I. Sasuke's eyes went wide. No, no. When I arrived, you and Dad were dead and he didn't have a tear mark on his face. There was no emotion. I remember what I saw. I see it in my dreams. Tsukiyomi is a powerful genjutsu. Are you sure that's what you really saw? Questioned Mikoto, getting Sasuke to quiet down. We were planning a coup. The Uchihas were going to overthrow Konoha due to the scrutiny against us after the Kyuubi attack. I thought it was a mistake but, I loved your father and would do anything for him. He was adamant it was necessary, continued Mikoto before a tear trailed down her face. It wasn't until Itachi arrived that night that we realized our mistake. How far the rabbit hole went. How many innocent lives would have been forfeit during such a thing? It's why we didn't stop Itachi when he came to end our lives. I'm grateful he left you alive. Itachi loved you more than anything. Mikoto let out a breath before finally asking her question. You've heard my words, Sasuke-chan. I just want to know what you're going to do when you see Itachi. No matter what you choose, I will love you with all my heart. I won't kill Itachi, Kachan. Mikoto's teary eyes opened hearing the immediate answer from Sasuke. There was no hesitation whatsoever. His Chidori-infused hand was removed from her chest as she turned to see him smiling. Itachi has been through enough in his life already. And it's funny, Naruto came up with that idea a long time ago when we first became friends. It's been in the back of my mind every day since. Even if you hadn't told me your perspective, I may have never killed Itachi. He's the only family I have left, you know? Tears grew in Mikoto's eyes as the sclerae turned normal in her Sharingan eyes. Mikoto began to glow as she realized what was happening. I'm so happy, and it seems your words have freed me from the Edo Tensei contract, said Mikoto as she reached over to hug her son. The trees from Naruto's jutsu began to reseed as Mikoto left Sasuke with a few more words. You make sure you keep Konoha and Naruto safe. I'm sure he's likely to follow in his father's footsteps. When he does, he'll need a confidant. Be there for him, and be there for all of Konoha. The village may have a dark side, but the pros far outweigh the cons. I will. I love you, Sasuke-chan. I love you too, Kachan. Mikoto disappeared fully as Sasuke let out a breath. I won't kill Itachi. I do, however, plan to let Itachi decide what he wants to do. If he wishes to die, to escape the hell he's been living in, then it is my duty as his brother to give that to him. It's what he's probably planned for. Sasuke continued to stare at the spot his mother once was as Naruto landed beside him asking if he was okay. Flashback end. Wow, what a, yeah, said Naruto as Sasuke nodded his head. He could understand the lack of words. He wouldn't know what to say either. Naruto and Sasuke sat in silence for several minutes before they heard a voice behind them. Naruto-kun. Sasuke-san. We're almost all ready to head back, said Haku, getting Naruto to stand up and turn around. Roger that. Let's get back to Konoha, said Naruto as he jumped back down into the clearing to handle getting the prisoners and destroying the houses. Nighttime, Konoha. Finally. Our shift is almost over. What a mundane day, shouted one of the gate guards with a yawn and stretch. Yep, 2 more minutes and we are out of here, said his partner as he noticed 9 people walking toward Konoha. Who is that? Questioned the first guard as he noticed the spiky blonde hair on the one leading the pack. It's Naruto. And who are all those people with him? His partner identified Sakura and some of the Kiri contingent. The man's eyes then widened when he noticed the ninja directly to Naruto's left. Uchiha Sasuke, he's returned. No fucking way, whispered the first guard as Naruto reached the gate. Naruto and Sasuke strolled past with a mere wave to the starstruck gate guards. Kuratsuchi went unnoticed by the gate guards as she continued to walk beside Sasuke. Chojuro, Haku, Suigetsu, Karen, and Yugo also walked past the gate without stopping, seeing how Naruto didn't. Holy crap. I can't believe the last Uchiha has returned. The gate guards snapped out of their trance when Sakura placed down their mission scroll. They dumbly nodded at the pink-haired Kunoichi as she also left to catch up with the group of 8. Sakura caught up to the group as they headed for the Hokage Tower. Halfway there, Naruto split from the group as he took Karen and Yugo to the torture and interrogation building. Team 10 were walking out of a nearby barbecue restaurant as they noticed the new group of 6 headed toward the Hokage Tower. Wonder what those from Kiri are doing out so late for? And with Sakura no less. And now there's a Kunoichi from IWA here. What's going on? Asked a keen-eyed Shikamaru, getting his teammates to pay attention as well. At least Sasuke and Sakura are there if something happens. Wait, Sasuke? Shikamaru noticed Sasuke at the head of the group and was dumbstruck like his 2 teammates who had no clue what was going on. Shika, I thought you said Sasuke left the Leaf and was a traitor, asked Ino as she watched the retreating form of the Uchiha. Shikamaru began to rack his brain around it but couldn't come up with anything. Troublesome. We have to follow them and make sure they don't do anything. Sasuke's group eventually made it to the Hokage Tower as they entered the building and were all escorted to Tsunade's office. A knock came to Tsunade's office as she allowed them entrance. Tsunade smiled as she saw Sasuke walk through the office door. The Uchiha merely gave the bust Kage a nod back. I see you're all okay, said Tsunade, especially happy that the Uchiha was safe. It was mainly her who allowed him to do such a dangerous mission, and she would have felt mainly guilty if he didn't make it back. Wait, where's Naruto? He'll be a few, Tsunade Shursho. He took our 2 prisoners to the TNI department, said Sakura as they all finished walking into the room. Tsunade nodded her head as she noticed 2 people in her office whom she didn't expect. And you 2 would be? Questioned Tsunade, looking at the short, black-haired girl with the IWA forehead protector and the white-haired, shark-grinning male. Tsunade Dano, said Kuratsuchi respectfully as she bowed to the female Kage. Standing up, Kuratsuchi introduced herself. I'm Kuratsuchi, Jonin of Iwagakure and granddaughter of the Sandame Tsuchikage. Tsunade nodded her head as a question entered her mind for her but allowed the white-haired boy to go first. Hello, Tsunade-sama. I'm Hozuki Suigetsu. I've been a prisoner of Orochimaru's since I was 7 and have finally been freed. I'm not necessarily a ninja, but my allegiance goes to those in Kiri. Well, it is a pleasure to meet you both, said Tsunade as she bore her eyes over to the Rock Princess. I have his reason but not yours. How are you here? Kuratsuchi readied an answer but Sasuke answered for her. She's here for me, said Sasuke as Tsunade looked at his eyes and could see the message behind them. He's been traumatized. From his stint with Orochimaru, thought Tsunade before thinking something different. No, it has to do with something deeper, maybe more meaningful to him. I'll have to see if Naruto knows. That is fine then. Just keep an eye on her, said Tsunade before wondering where Naruto was so she could get a debriefing from her mission leader. A knock came at the door as Tsunade thought Naruto was at it and immediately let the person in. However, it was Tsunade's temporary assistant, Yoma, coming in with a message. Tsunade-sama, I'm sorry to disturb you but there's a Lieutenant Crunch here to see you. He said it was a priority. Shizune is not allowed to take another vacation unless I'm also on vacation. I can't have someone believing they can interrupt my meetings like this, especially one of this importance. Plus, it's nearly 9 p.m., why the hell would someone need to see me now, thought Tsunade as she spoke to Yoma. She could see what the man wanted until Naruto arrived. Please, send him in. Yoma nodded her head as she went to get him but a voice from the windowsill spoke up instead. Thank you, Yoma. However, I just realized I got a promotion yesterday, said the man from the windowsill. It's Captain Crunch, now. The room went silent for a second at the announcement. Tsunade's lip quivered upward slightly as the rest of the room reacted to the joke. Suigetsu burst out with laughter as Haku covered her mouth to keep from laughing loudly. Sasuke just smirked coolly at the clever quip as Sakura and Kuratsuchi placed a hand over their face. Chojuro began to chuckle as the man on the windowsill pointed at Tsunade. Gotcha, BH-on. 1 point for me, shouted Naruto as he jumped into the room near his team. Darn it brat, that was a good one. Using my favorite cereal against me, said Tsunade, pulling out the little book that held the tallies of her and Naruto's little game. Seems you've taken the lead. Naruto just continued to cheese at his aunt before speaking. Shikamaru, Choji, Ino-chan. You guys can come in here and hear this, said Naruto pointing out to Team 10. They were situated on the outside of the building eavesdropping and hadn't known they'd been caught. Sorry, Hokage-sama. We were tailing Sasuke here and wondered why nobody else seemed to care that he left the village and is now back. We thought he might be trying something, said Shikamaru honestly as he and his teammates stepped into the room. Tsunade nodded her head at his explanation. It's fine. It's expected. But let's let Naruto shed some light on the situation. Please go ahead and give us the details of your mission. Naruto nodded his head before relaying it. Team Naruto reporting back from their S-rank mission to Sunagakure. Mission status, success. My team and I headed out to the base of Orochimaru's where we quickly located our undercover agent, Sasuke, before proceeding to rescue him. There, we met S-rank shinobi, Orochimaru, but Jiraiya arrived and faced him before killing the snake Sannin. The team then scattered to gather the 3 important ninjas that Sasuke determined in his stint with Orochimaru. Those being Hozuki Suigetsu, Uzumaki Karen, and Yugo. Suigetsu is a native of Kiri and the last remaining member of the Hozuki clan. Karen is, as known from her surname earlier, an Uzumaki based on the samples gathered and analyzed from her DNA from submissions by Sasuke through testing. The last ninja is Yugo, the originator of the cursed seal and the only one whose DNA can help me remove it from the bodies of the Konoha shinobi with them. Afterward, we successfully brought Sasuke back from his long-term mission. Naruto then took in deep breaths after his lengthy explanation. Tsunade nodded and smiled before seeing Shikamaru put his hands. Wait, you mean to tell me that Sasuke leaving was a planned mission? And if so, why did we risk our lives getting him back if this was all supposed to happen anyway? Questioned Shikamaru with sharp eyes on Tsunade. Tsunade understood where Shikamaru was coming from. He and the 4 sent with him did give it their all that mission. Neji even came back with critical injuries in their failed rescue. However, this was the life of a Hokage and she made that decision with Orochimaru's death in the endgame and luckily it succeeded. I apologize to Shikamaru. It was an S-rank mission and on a need-to-know basis. Even Naruto and Kakashi didn't know at that time, said Tsunade as she added. Why do you think Sasuke hadn't officially been considered a missing nin? I thought that was just because of Naruto asking you not to, said Ino as she started to put the picture together. So Sasuke-kun never really became a traitor, left the village? He was just doing a mission, a long mission that ended with the death of Orochimaru. That's, wow. Choji smiled realizing that Sasuke hadn't left the village and became a traitor as he'd thought those years ago. Shikamaru was still a little heated that they weren't informed of this when they were attempting his rescue. Right, there's more to it that I'm sure you want to know, Shikamaru, but I have to finish another debriefing first. I will answer your questions tomorrow, said Tsunade, getting everyone back on track. Thank you for that, Naruto. I'll need your written report later. Those from Kiri, your Kage, and I have finished our talks and you all will be heading back tomorrow. That is all and you all are free to go as I'm sure you're very tired. Except for you, Sasuke. Everyone nodded their heads as they all walked out of Tsunade's office, except for Naruto who jumped out of Tsunade's window. Sakura took Kuratsuchi to a local diner to eat while she waited for Sasuke. Sasuke looked at the blonde Hokage as he blew out a breath before giving out his mission debriefing. Uchiha Sasuke reporting back from his S-rank mission. Started Sasuke as he went through the long, tedious process of relaying the details of his 3-year-long mission with Orochimaru. It was protocol to make sure the loyalty of the ninja hadn't changed in his stint away. Tsunade didn't like it as much as Sasuke did, but she'd be damned if she had a bad apple in the bushel, especially an apple as important as Sasuke was. With Naruto. Naruto jumped out of Tsunade's office as he headed to find someone. That someone was situated at Naruto's favorite place in all of Konoha, his father's stone head. Naruto landed behind the blonde in a shunshin as he walked up to her and sat down. "Hi, Yugi-chan." "Hi, Naruto-kun," said Yugito on autopilot. She then realized who she was speaking to a second later. "Naruto-kun. You're back," shouted Yugito more enthusiastically as she lunged at the man beside her, taking him to the ground as she planted several kisses on him in rapid succession. "I was worried about you and I missed you so much." Naruto smiled as he enjoyed Yugito's current assault on his face. "I missed you too," said Naruto between kisses. Eventually, Yugito satiated her desire and allowed Naruto to sit up again. Naruto then looked behind him as he saw two green blurs heading his way. "They have to know it's me, right? Deburu Dynamiku Entori." "Double dynamic entry," shouted the two blurs as they attacked Naruto. A wooden dome grew from the ground around Naruto and Yugito as Guy and Rock Lee both attacked the domed wall. Guy and Rock Lee stopped in contact with the chakra-enhanced wood as they felt immediate pain. Naruto let the domed wall sink back into the ground as he could see Rock Lee and Guy both on the ground clutching their leg, the leg used for their attack. "Aya, SSSSSS, Ayahak, SSSSS, Ayaha, SSSSS, Aya, SSSSSS," repeated Guy and Lee simultaneously as they rocked back and forth still holding their leg. Naruto smiled at the two's antics before addressing them. "It's me guys, Naruto," said Naruto as Guy and Lee both looked at him before running over and inspecting him. Guy grabbed Naruto's cheeks, apparently testing for makeup or anything before inspecting his hair to make sure it was actually Naruto. Lee grabbed Naruto's leg and checked his limbs out to make sure they matched Naruto's measurements. Guy and Lee both stopped at the same time as they smiled at each other, teeth sparkle shining bright in the nighttime. "Wosh. It seems Naruto-kun is back," said Lee as Guy nodded his head. "Indeed, Lee. It seems we have accomplished our task of protecting Yugito until he returns," said Guy as Naruto nodded his head. "Impressive, Lee. And there isn't a hair out of place on her head. We have succeeded in our task. That means we only have 100 laps around Konoha to do. Let's get to it." Rock Lee saluted his sensei as they both took off, leaving a trail of dust in their wake. Naruto smiled at their disappearance as he turned his face to see Yugito smiling at him sweetly. Yugito's sweet smile did nothing to distract Naruto from the Oni mask floating behind her. "Naruto-kun," said Yugito as Naruto gulped at the extremely sweet tone that, despite its sweetness, promised nothing but pain. "If you ever have to leave without me again, never leave me in the care of those two, okay?" Naruto nodded his head as Yugito patted him on the cheek. "I wanted to take you with me but you had to stay for the peace talks. You're technically Idano's eyes and ears, as well as voice while here." "I understand. Just never those two, ever." Naruto nodded again before turning to look at the night scene of Konoha. Yugito placed her head on Naruto's shoulder as she interlocked hands with the Kyubi Jinchuriki. "Want to hear about the mission?" "Sure, after I kiss your face some more." The next morning. "Yugi-chan," said Naruto, coming from the bathroom in only pajama pants after brushing his teeth. After watching the night surrounding Konoha, Yugito and Naruto headed back to his apartment to get some sleep. Upon waking, Yugito posed an interesting idea to Naruto. "I'm telling you, double dating is a bad idea." Yugito was standing in Naruto's kitchen wearing a small t-shirt that, if she made any movement, would ride up just enough to show Naruto her backside. A backside that was only panty-clad at the moment. Quite the view for early in the morning. "Kami blesses her DNA," thought Naruto as he looked at Yugito's body shamelessly. Yugito snapped Naruto out of his perverse peeping and thoughts as she began to speak. "How is a double date a bad idea, Naruto-kun?" "Everyone says they are amazing," said Yugito, making breakfast as Naruto walked into the kitchen with her. "No, only the winners of double dates think that," said Naruto as Yugito became intrigued at what his explanation was. You see, on double dates, there is this innate competition that occurs. Meaning that no matter the circumstance, we are going to compete with them. If the other couple kisses, we'll have to kiss or we'll seem like the lesser couple. And then it'll just keep going and it'll never stop until the date is over. Yugito considered Naruto's words. How else am I going to meet your best friend and his girlfriend at the same time? I did already meet Sasuke, but that was at the hospital so it doesn't really count. Plus, we were only friends back then, said Yugito as Naruto couldn't figure out a better way than a double date to meet them both so it wouldn't be awkward. Exactly, it's going to happen. And as far as this competition goes, we're maturer than that, aren't we? Naruto nodded his head as Yugito sat up on the counter having finished making Naruto's plate. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Maybe this is not so bad. Just have to remember it's not a competition. No, there's definitely a competition. I'm just saying we're mature in the fact that we'll win because we are the best couple, said Yugito with a smirk that Naruto returned. Naruto then noticed something though. Yugi-chan, I thought you were making breakfast. Now that I think about it, I didn't smell anything cooking nor were you preparing something. Yugito sat atop a kitchen plate as she pulled out some whipped cream. Really? I thought I did pretty good on your breakfast this morning, said Yugito as she began to place whipped cream on different parts of her body, unless you think something else would be better? Naruto shook his head quickly, finally realizing what Yugito meant. Yugito smiled as Naruto proceeded to have his breakfast. 3 hours later, Uchiha clan compound. Sasuke stood with Kuratsuchi in his old stomping grounds, the Uchiha clan compound. Sasuke was wearing a simple, loose-fitting white shirt with black pants and black shinobi sandals. Kuratsuchi wore a red tank top with white shorts that stopped at her knees and red sandals that matched her top. Both of them forego their forehead protectors as they were off-duty. Sasuke looked around the place as Kuratsuchi decided to comment on its appearance. Wow, this place looks amazing, said Kuratsuchi as she looked around it. I thought you said this place would be condemned and you'd have to clean it and all that. Sasuke nodded his head. I did. I'm guessing Naruto kept up with the upkeep of this place in my absence, said Sasuke as he and Kuratsuchi walked around the small grounds that belonged to the Uchiha clan. Nostalgia washed over Sasuke as he and Kuratsuchi walked with him pointing out places and stating the memories he had of it. Soon the two arrived at the place Sasuke hadn't seen since the massacre, his real home. Are you sure you want to go in? Questioned Kuratsuchi as Sasuke looked at her before nodding. Well, if you want to. Kuratsuchi grabbed Sasuke's hand as they walked into his old home. After the massacre, Sandaime asked whether he wanted to continue living there or move into an apartment like Naruto had, noting that he knew Naruto was in one, and Sasuke quickly asked for the apartment. Sasuke made sure to never cross his real home since the massacre. It was saddening to his young heart just thinking about it. But that was then and this is now. Walking in, Sasuke realized everything was just as he'd last seen it since the massacre, except without the bodies of his parents and the blood that adorned the floor. Everything else hadn't been touched or cleaned unlike the rest of his clan's compound. I thought you wouldn't mind me staying with the upkeep of the compound, but I figured it'd be best if I left this one to you. Sasuke and Kuratsuchi turned to see Naruto standing at his doorway holding Yugito's hand. Naruto was wearing a long-sleeved black shirt with light gray pants and black shinobi sandals. Yugito stood beside him in a blue, low-cut t-shirt, a pair of black leggings with blue sandals that matched her shirt. Neither of them wore their forehead protectors as they were both also off-duty. Yeah, I appreciate that, said Sasuke as Naruto nodded his head. It is a pleasure to meet you again, Yugito-san. This is Kuratsuchi. Kuratsuchi extended a hand toward Yugito, who shook it in kind. Hello Kuratsuchi, I'm ni Yugito, said Yugito happily as Kuratsuchi nodded and smiled back. It is a pleasure. Though I have to wonder, said Kuratsuchi before pointing at Naruto. How can you date someone like him? He's so annoying and immature. He gets on my nerves so much. I can't stand him. Yugito looked at Naruto before looking at Sasuke. Yugito then looked back at Kuratsuchi. It was a plan. I don't know who came up with it, but it was likely to rile you up so you'd get frustrated and need to relieve stress. A classic in Jiraiya's playbook. Yugi-chan, said Naruto after getting called out like that by his detective girlfriend. You can't just say that. Now Sasuke is about to get his ass kicked for coming up with that plan. Sasuke noticed Naruto threw the blame all on him even though it was his idea. Yugito even said it was from Jiraiya's playbook. That was Naruto's sensei, not his. Before he could let it be known, he felt Kuratsuchi's anger spike. Looking at her, he only saw her smiling sweetly at him, which clearly was opposite of how she was truly feeling at the moment. I can explain, said Sasuke before Kuratsuchi chased him out of his house and all around the clan compound. Naruto and Yugito just stood in Sasuke's home all alone as they watched Kuratsuchi attempt to harm Sasuke. Seems this double date started well, said Naruto as Yugito nodded her head. Indeed, I believe we are already winning, said Yugito, sneaking a kiss before they set off to find the other couple they were hanging out with for the day. Night time, Konoha. Naruto walked out of the restaurant, a frown on his handsome face. The group of four spent the day at the hot springs, watched a movie together, and their last stop was at the pancake house. I can't believe my record got broken today, said Naruto as Yugito put a hand on his back to console the gloomy Jinchuriki. It's okay, Naruto-kun. There was no stopping it. There was no way it'd stand to someone in his circumstance. As Yugito talked with Naruto, Sasuke came walking out of the restaurant behind him with Kuratsuchi mock bowing to him. Sasuke had a crown on as Kuratsuchi began to speak. All hail the new Pancake King. All hail the new Pancake King, said Kuratsuchi repeatedly as Sasuke just smirked. I didn't even realize I ate 116 pancakes, said Sasuke, acting nonchalant as if he wasn't trying to break Naruto's previous record of 104. Thanks for the meal, Naruto. Naruto held his toad wallet, Gamachan, as he sobbed anime tears. Naruto-kun, you shouldn't have made that bet with him. Sasuke has been with Orochimaru for the last 3 years. He hasn't had food like pancakes since. He was bound to win, said Yugito as Naruto nodded his head. You're right, Yugi-chan, said Naruto as he straightened up immediately and grabbed Yugito's hand. Who's ready for the finale of this double date? Kuratsuchi and Sasuke looked up at that announcement. I thought the pancake house was the finale. 1. Hot springs, 2. Movies and 3. Pancakes. I thought this was a trifecta. What could top pancakes? Naruto put his other hand to his chin as he thought for a second. Naruto then looked at Yugito, who looked back, as they had a whispered discussion that couldn't be heard by Sasuke and Kuratsuchi. Naruto and Yugito then nodded at each other before they turned to face them. You're right. Only ramen and sushi can top pancakes, but no, this is just for pure comedy. It's Anbu training season, said Naruto as Sasuke perked up. Hibi, said Sasuke in remembrance. This will be good. Both of the couples vanished in a shunshin as they both landed outside of the forest of death. Naruto channeled his chakra as an enormous tree grew from the ground, picking up the 4 ninjas to give them a view of the entire forest. Naruto pulled out 3 binoculars, one for Yugito, Kuratsuchi, and himself as Sasuke just activated his Sharingan. How are we supposed to know where they are? Started Kuratsuchi before Naruto calmly shushed her. Wait for it, said Naruto before an explosion rang out in the far northwest corner of the forest. From the smoke of the explosion came out running an Anbu with a red monkey mask. Right behind Saru was Hibi with her hands full of deadly sharp kunai. Naruto, said Sasuke as he vaguely remembered the chakra of the Saru masked ninja. Is that Kono? Yeah, it is, said Naruto as Sasuke looked more interested. This is going to be good, said Sasuke as even Yugito and Kuratsuchi were enjoying the survival test Saru was going through at the moment. Elsewhere in Konoha, Danzo was in a panic. He may have a great poker face and it never showed on the outside, but internally he worried for his safety. How could I be duped like that, thought Danzo as he sat in his home, which was outside the walls of Konoha. Sasuke has come back and Orochimaru is dead. It's only a matter of time before Haim comes barging in here with him and his contingent of shinobi to take me away. But why haven't they? Danzo knew that the Uchiha boy had returned yesterday and was sure Naruto would waste no time in finding and exposing him. But 24 hours passed by and nothing had happened. Nothing at all. Danzo readied to flee at a moment's notice, but they never came. What is going on, thought Danzo, who for the first time in a long time didn't have a grip on the situation. Hokage Tower. Great, that's exactly what I was expecting, said Tsunade to the silver-haired ninja standing in front of him. This was the real plan, questioned the ninja as Tsunade nodded her head. I have to say, Tsunade-sama, it's an impressive plan. I agree, said Tsunade with a smile. However, your student was the one to come up with it, and I have to say the brat was perfect in his execution of it. Kakashi's lone eye widened a little at that announcement. Naruto came up with this? But when? Asked Kakashi as he became impressed with his student even more. Well, it was back when Naruto first saw Sasuke during the Sky Ninja raid. Naruto noticed the hidden Juinjutsu placed on Sasuke and realized Danzo was probably going to potentially get rid of him. Because of what he knows. Sasuke is a root agent without any inhibitors to keep him from talking. That is true. There could be another reason, but let's not speculate, said Tsunade as she continued. Naruto is strong. Very strong. And likely could take on most of the shinobi in Konoha at once and come out victorious. Everybody knows that, including Danzo. So Naruto has been threatening Danzo and assured him that he'd be the one to bring him down if he got caught doing something unjust. Kakashi continued to put the pieces together. So, you're ensuring Danzo's loyalty by pretending to not have caught him in the act of treason, trying to kill a fellow Konoha shinobi, said Kakashi as Tsunade nodded once more. Danzo has hidden motives. Everyone knew that since Sensei became Hokage, he continued to try to usurp power from Sarutobi Sensei to become Hokage. And in this situation, we'd immediately bring him to justice, but Naruto was right, we need him. No matter how despicable that man is, he is probably the most loyal Konoha of us all. And his root program has done great things for this village, the dirty things that I cannot allow but was necessary. And now with the Sasuke thing, we have him right where we want him. That's incredible. Danzo is actually on our side now, said Kakashi as he smiled. It seems Naruto may just be a great Hokage. Tsunade smiled at the notion as she went back to her paperwork as Kakashi poofed away. Yes, he's going to be amazing. Especially since that's only phase 1 of his plan, thought Tsunade with a mischievous grin. Location unknown. 2 figures stood by the body of an unconscious male as they sat in a cave. The smaller of the 2 figures was looking out of the cave as he stared into the sunset. Itachi-san, what are you thinking about? Itachi let out a small smile, seemingly seeing something in the sunset. His smile vanished almost as fast as it appeared, replaced with his normal, emotionless face. Nothing that concerns you. Let's contact Leader Sama. Capture of the Rokubi, done, said Itachi as he then added thought. See you soon, Sasuke-kun. I got this one, said a hawk-masked Anbu as his hand sparked with lightning. The Anbu took off as he pierced through the back of a man where his heart was. With a scoff, the Anbu dropped the man to the ground before ending his technique. As that happened, a toad-masked Anbu watching the scene heard a voice in his head. How is that an assassination technique? Questioned Kurama in Gamma's head. The noise it makes should make him a dead giveaway. Heard that, said Gama, replying to the large fox. He stood in his mindscape shaking his head. I wouldn't get caught by something like that. I'm not a genin. You fight like a genin, replied Kurama as he and Gama both pointed at each other comically for the quip. Gama then performed a shunshin and bit his thumb. Why the hell did I just do that with him? When did that even start, thought Kurama as he couldn't believe that he still did that with Naruto. The two began berating each other in that way a while ago, which was always followed by them pointing at each other simultaneously during any clever ones. It seemed Kurama and Naruto were now friends. We are not friends. He is a Jinchuriki and I am a Bijou. We are amicable. But we aren't friends. Kuchios, summoning, thought Gama as he placed a hand down next to the body of their target. A blue toad appeared in a puff of smoke as it proceeded to swallow the man and then dispel himself. And that is how it's done, said Taka, Hawk, as Gama nodded. Gama and Taka then began to leave the hotel their mission was in and proceeded to head back to Konoha. Leaping through trees, Gama began to make conversation with his partner. You really don't stop, do you? You were on that mission with Orochimaru for 3 years and not even 2 weeks later, you're back doing a mission again, said Gama as Taka shrugged. You really are a robot, aren't you? No, I'm just good at what I do. Plus, I can't get rusty, said Taka before getting something straight with Gama. By the way, just because you're an Anbu captain now does not make you my leader. Gama stopped on a treetop causing Taka to stop and turn to look at him. I think that it kinda does. Not to mention that I've done nearly 300 plus missions. Which means I have experience over you, not just rank. I've done an S rank mission. A real S rank mission, unlike you. And all the missions I did en route cancel out that experience thing you have on me. Don't forget that I am the fastest promoted jonin in the history of Konoha, mission count wise. PSSSH, it's only because Bachan asked me and Jiraiya sensei if she should. It'd be weird to have a chunin do an S rank mission and not get promoted to jonin, said Gama as he added. Plus, I had to save your fast promoted jonin ass on that S rank mission. We could find out who's better now, said Taka as lightning began to spark around his left hand. A Rinnegan spawned to life in Gama's right hand as the two Anbu ran toward each other. Several hours later, Konoha. Well, good job you two, said Tsunade after getting Gama's debriefing from their mission. You have taken out one of the most notorious gangs in the country. Including its leader whose bounty is in your checks. Just doing our job, Hokage-sama. Are we dismissed? One more thing. 64 shinobi, mostly genin with a few chunin and 1 jonin. Shouldn't have been a problem, and your report claims that you took out all of them without them knowing about it. Plus, you two are some of the strongest ninjas in Konoha, maybe even the world. Gama and Taka shared a fist bump at that acknowledgement. With that said, please explain to me why you look like you've been in a war. Gama had single marks on his clothing with several burn mark wounds that, despite their healed state, looked as if he was hit by lightning from Tsunade's medical viewpoint. Gama was also missing the upper right side of his Anbu mask. Taka looked no better as he had a light spiral mark on his stomach that eerily looked like a wound mark of a Rinnegan that didn't fully catch its target. Not to mention the tree leaves stuck on him and the marks on his arms that looked as if a tree branch constricted him. Gama looked at Taka, who looked back at Gama before they both looked at Tsunade. Well, you see, what had happened was started Gama before being cut off by Taka. We plead silence until tried by a jury. Tsunade shook her head with a smile. You are both dismissed, said Tsunade as the two Anbu disappeared to their homes. Naruto's apartment. Naruto arrived at his apartment in Shunshin as he walked in. Upon walking in, Naruto noticed Yugito sitting on his couch reading. Naruto smiled at Yugito happily as he looked at his girlfriend. Yugito was reading with a mild blush on her face, which ended upon hearing a camera shutter. Yugito's blush deepened upon seeing Naruto standing at the doorway with a camera in his hand that printed out a photo of her reading. It wasn't that she was reading a book. It was what book she was reading that was picture-taking worthy. "My sweet Yugi-chan is reading Ika Ika?" questioned Naruto as he grabbed the picture from his camera and began shaking it to cool it down so it could be viewed. "I thought you didn't like Jiraiya-sensei's books." It's not what it looks like," stammered Yugito as she closed the book and tossed it out of sight into Naruto's room. "Okay, you caught me. I only read it because you left it out and I just so happened to skim the first line." Naruto grinned as Yugito blew a stray hair out of her face. Naruto and Yugito? I mean really, he couldn't at least come up with more original names? Great, right? That's the rough draft though. It hasn't been published yet, so those names won't stay. Yugito curled an eyebrow as Naruto shrugged. His process, I guess. Keep the names to remember the inspiration. Sensei wanted me to let him know whether it was good or not. I didn't get the chance to read it yet, but seeing how you have, you can let me know. Well, it's definitely good. Creepy how accurate it is. In Chapter 3, he has our first time in it, down to near perfect detail. You didn't tell him, did you? Of course I didn't tell him. I did tell Gamakichi though, said Naruto before adding. Maybe he questioned Gamakichi? He's the only one, outside you or me, that he could have gotten it from. Wait, said Yugito standing up and looking at Naruto. You told a toad about our first time? Really? That's kind of depressing that you really had no one else to tell. Is it? I could have told someone else. Kurama already knew about it. Well, most of it. He shuts the connection down when I bring up personal stuff usually. Naruto then began to think about other people he could have gossiped with. There's Kiba, but, you really want me to have told Kiba? Lee couldn't keep it a secret, nor would his innocent ears be able to handle it. Then you have Sakura-chan, Niji, Ino-chan, Hinata-chan, and Gaara. No to all of them for varying reasons. Yugito agreed as Naruto kept going. Tsunade Bakon would tease me. Shizune-chan would tell Bakon the same result. Jiraiya-sensei wrote a book to share with the world about it. Kakashi-sense is Jiraiya-sensei's biggest customer, so, no. This leaves Gamakichi, who is a very close friend and my second choice as a best man behind Sasuke. Well, what about Sasuke? Questioned Yugito as she noticed Naruto left him out of it. I told him. I had to let him know that I beat him. And he didn't tell Jiraiya because he was with Orochimaru, said Naruto as he puffed his chest out a bit after claiming he beat Sasuke in having sex. But, I never told Jiraiya-sensei. He just knew. Talking about his senses were tingling and got Gamakichi to spill the beans to him. From what Gamakichi said, it was pretty gruesome torture. Well, tell Jiraiya the book is well written. Though, I don't have E-cup-sized boobies, said Yugito looking down at her chest. No, you don't. Ika always exaggerates for the perverts, said Naruto before appearing in front of the Nibi Jinchuriki. But don't be so down. Your boobies are by far my favorite. Really? I thought all guys believed in the bigger the better. We do. Well, at least most guys. However, I can touch yours, and that makes them better than anybody else's because they come with the rest of your pretty little self. Yugito smiled at Naruto before licking her lips. I think we should add another chapter to Jiraiya's book. Right now. Naruto grinned as Yugito moved in and peppered his neck with kisses. Naruto closed his eyes in enjoyment, allowing Yugito to take the lead. Yugito continued to kiss Naruto as she began to undress him. Removing his shirt, Yugito kissed Naruto on the lips again before moving down his chest and stomach with more kisses. Yugito reached Naruto's pants and began to unbuckle them. Pulling the button loose, Yugito smiled and licked her lips before she heard an alarm sound out. Naruto grunted in disappointment before stopping Yugito and bringing her back to a stand. I'm sorry, Yugi-chan. I want to, but maybe later. I have a mission to do, said Naruto as he looked at the clock in his room. Right about now. Want to come? You'll be of great help. What are we doing? Asked Yugito after Naruto walked into his room to change into another Anbu uniform. Yugito then smiled giddily as she couldn't wait to do another mission. She'd been doing nothing since moving to Konoha with Naruto. May as well get back into the flow of things, mission-wise. Even if they are for Konoha's benefit. Naruto-kun is likely the next Hokage, and if we're still together, that means I'll be here permanently. Yugito's thoughts ended as Naruto walked back into the room. As far as what we're doing, you'll see, said Naruto as he made Yugito get dressed in the all-black outfit she wore when they went to rescue Gaara. I just hope that he continues along with this. We'll definitely need his help. Naruto smiled at Yugito as she came out of the room fully dressed and with her face mask up past her nose, only showing her ponytail and eyes. Naruto's smile widened when he noticed a black snake enter his room. Placing on his mask, Naruto tapped Yugito on the shoulder as they vanished in a shunshin. Hokage Tower. Sitting at her desk, Tsunade was looking over her last sheet of paperwork. That piece of paper was actually an S-rank mission. Tsunade stared at it as she looked up to see a poof of smoke occur. Appearing from that poof of smoke was Kakashi. You called? Questioned Kakashi as he read from his Ika book. Kakashi noticed the mission paper in Tsunade's hand and guessed it was for him. An S-rank? I thought you wanted me to keep an eye on Danzo for another few days? Yes and yes. But, this mission is not for you. Naruto is already handling it, said Tsunade as she put the paper down and looked at Kakashi. I called you here because I'd like an update on Danzo. It seems Danzo is feeling the pressure and getting antsy. I believe he is bound to try something soon, said Kakashi as he added. All of his root shinobi are back. Perfect, Phase 2 of Naruto's plan is coming together as expected, said Tsunade as Kakashi looked at her questioningly. Phase 2? I thought his plan was over. He scared Danzo and now he's on our side of things, right? You really think Danzo would give up like that? You just said it looks like he's up to something. So, Naruto's plan didn't end with scaring Danzo, said Tsunade as she smirked at Kakashi. How long do you think it would take if I were to recall all the Anbu at our disposal? All of them. 2 weeks, at the most. Correct. And it has been 2 weeks since Sasuke came back, right? Kakashi nodded his head as Tsunade continued. Danzo is scared. Scared that something will happen to him based on what Sasuke was and who Naruto is. And if something were to happen, you'd want all of your ninjas there to protect you. Oh, I see where this is going, said Kakashi as his lone eye widened slightly. That means Naruto and Sasuke are going to dash. Let's go see for ourselves, shall we? Said Tsunade with a smile on her face. Tsunade walked out of her office as Kakashi just stood there still shocked about what he heard. Naruto plans to end Danzo and Root tonight? And I wonder why he didn't even let me know about this? I could have been of help. Maybe I am getting old, thought Kakashi before shrugging his shoulders and bringing his book back up to his face. Oh well. I'm not going to complain. Gives me more time to read this unpublished Ika book. Naruto and Nagato, huh? I'll have to thank Jiraiya-sama for letting me get one of the first copies. Kakashi giggled to himself as he walked out to follow Tsunade. Under Konoha, Root Base. A man sat upon a throne-like chair as he looked out over the balcony he was on. Situated in front of him were close to 350 ninjas, all wearing black cloaks and plain white masks. Jumping up next to him were 2 shinobi wearing identical uniforms except with beige cloaks and no mask. The first ninja had orange hair tied into a ponytail while the other had short spiky black hair and black goggles that covered his face down to just below his nose. Danzo-sama, all of the Root personnel are accounted for. Thank you, Fu. And you too, Toryun, said Danzo before standing and addressing the ninjas gathered before him. We have a problem. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki needs to be neutralized. He dash. Why Danzo? I thought our goal was to keep Konoha safe. Harming the Kyuubi Jinchuriki would directly go against that by eliminating one of its more powerful protectors, said one of the ninjas with black cloaks as he cut off Danzo. Danzo looked shocked that one of his shinobi voiced out to him and without adding "sama" to the end of his name when addressing him. But one of his shinobi wouldn't go against him like that or speak out of place in such a way. Who are you? Questioned Danzo, eyeing the ninja suspiciously. The ninja stood up and removed his mask to show his face, which had two very familiar red eyes. Danzo never noticed that Fu had his hands in the snake seal. Uchiha Sasuke, you are bold for coming here. And you are bold for staying here. You had to know your actions wouldn't be tolerated, said Sasuke as Danzo motioned with his hand for his shinobi to capture him. However, none of them moved. I believe you're familiar with the Mangekyo Sharingan. All of the root shinobi surrounding Sasuke disappeared as they turned into hawks that flew at Danzo. Danzo stood unnerved by the annoying birds before they disappeared into the darkness of the room. The underground compound they were in shifted into an inverted plane as Sasuke now stood a few feet from Danzo. Tsukiyomi, Moon Reader. Seems you've gotten better at using it. However, it is still not as good as Itachi's. You're right. It is not as good as Itachi's. Unlike Itachi, I have a friend with the nine-tailed fox in his body. As much as it dislikes people with my blood, it hates you more and decided to help me just this once. Behind Sasuke, an ominous growl was heard. Two large, red-slit eyes opened behind Sasuke before the silhouette of the nine-tails formed and stood menacingly. This is just genjutsu. Why isn't Shursui's eye working? Thought Danzo as he couldn't break Sasuke's jutsu. Sasuke's eyes aren't stronger than Shursui's. They can't be. Are you sure you still have Shursui's eye? Questioned Sasuke as Danzo felt blood dripping down his face. The elder shinobi's blood went cold realizing the hidden eye was missing. Or even the Sharingan that Orochimaru implanted into your arm. I was with him for 3 years, I know all about the experiments he conducted on you. Danzo looked down with his lone eye as he was missing his right arm as well. Actual pain. This isn't an illusion. My eyes and arms are both gone, thought Danzo as fear crept into his heart. A feeling he hadn't felt in years. How did all of this happen? How did you remove them without me knowing? Questioned Danzo as he began to back up seeing the Kyuubi move toward him. Danzo stopped backing up as he hit a person. Turning around, Danzo saw Gamma. Taking off the mask, Naruto decided to answer Danzo's question. Moku Bunshins, would clones, sure can fool people, huh? That wasn't Fu or Toryun beside you. It was me and a clone, said Naruto as he added. And it seems I was right about your arm. Kurama and I could feel my forefather's cells in you since we first bumped into you at the hospital. And your eyes and arms were easy to get. Not difficult at all when a guy is in one of the strongest genjutsu in history and being restricted by chakra suppressing Mokuton. You didn't even notice it wrapping around you before looking into Sasuke's eyes. In a different world, I would have respected you, Danzo. Your leadership, training, and above all, your love for the village makes you a man I'd likely have admired. However, you thought greedily of yourself. Danzo turned to see Sasuke's eyes glowing ominously. Turning children into soldiers that follow your orders above the Hokage. Stealing Sharingan from deceased Uchiha clan members. Desecrating a grave to gather our first Hokage's DNA. All of that added to your dealings in the past and the fact you attempted to kill me, I have lost all respect for you. Whatever comes to you will be too good. And you know how this genjutsu works, right? Questioned Naruto as Kurama grabbed Danzo and held him painfully tight. You will be tortured for 120 hours by Kurama here. Let's see how long you can last. Danzo saw both Sasuke and Naruto disappear and looked to see Kurama grinning at him. Real world. Naruto and Sasuke stood on the balcony of the underground compound as they looked at the unconscious Danzo. Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan stopped spinning as Naruto removed the hand on his back, having funneled Kurama's chakra into him to help with the genjutsu. "Well, that appears to be over," said Naruto as his clone held out a jar containing a Sharingan eye. The same eye that was in Danzo's right eye socket. "I believe you should have this." Sasuke clutched his right eye for a second as the after effects of using Tsukimi hit him. Sasuke stopped clutching his eye as his normal Sharingan spun back to life from his Mangekyo. "Thank you," said Sasuke as he grabbed the jar from Naruto before placing it in his ninja pouch. 120 hours. Did you really have to tell him that? "Well, I know it only lasted 120 minutes, but how would he know that?" questioned Naruto, picking up Danzo and placing him on his shoulder. "What about the root ninjas?" questioned Sasuke as he looked out over the balcony. Trapped in a large purple barrier was all of Danzo's shinobi. In the barrier with them was Yugito in her full bijou mode. They had a choice. Turn their allegiance over to Konoha and the Hokage or go against Yugi-chan, said Naruto as he smiled. "Most of them are pretty smart, the others were dealt with. It really is thanks to one of them though, he helped in finding this place while also getting most of the root Anbu to see things Konoha's way and not Danzo's way. And the great thing for them is they'll actually be integrated into Konoha's Anbu. Still separate but as a legit Anbu Ops division. Danzo may have a twisted way about going through with things, but he definitely gave way to great ninjas. They are all Chunin or better, at least." Sasuke nodded his head before he looked up to see two figures coming down. "Did you tell him yet?" asked Tsunade, jumping on the balcony beside the two Anbu. Seeing Naruto shake his head no, Tsunade smiled at Sasuke as Kakashi landed behind her. "Excellent. This means I get to be the one to tell him then." "Tell me what?" questioned Sasuke as the purple barrier surrounding the ninjas vanished and all of Naruto's clones dispelled themselves. Yugito jumped up on the balcony beside Naruto, who smacked her on the butt. "Good game," said Naruto, cutting off Tsunade's announcement. "Good game?" questioned Tsunade before just leaving it alone and turning back to Sasuke. "You've been promoted. You are Konoha's first official root captain." Sasuke's eyes widened as he looked out over the root ninjas now bowing towards him. One of the ninjas stood up and removed his mask. He was a pale shinobi with black eyes and short black hair. "Sasuke-senpai. Or should I say, Sasuke Taicho?" questioned the pale shinobi as he smiled up at the group of five. "Sai, you did all of this?" questioned Sasuke as Sai nodded and continued to smile. Sasuke's eyes are pierced into Sai's memories to get a view of Sai's role in all of this. "I see. Ever since Danzo attempted to let me die by Orochimaru's hands, you've been working with Tsunade and Naruto. Leading us here and allowing others to see what life could be like. Good job." "Of course. Though I was only a catalyst. Danzo's recent actions towards you and the Jinchuriki were unfitting of what he taught us. I just used your example and the others followed suit," said Sai, who continued to smile, seeing how he believed he should feel happy at this point. And only a smile could express that physically in his eyes. Creepy, thought all the shinobi were looking at Sai's smile. "What did Danzo do to them?" asked Kurama on Naruto's head as Jinchuriki just shook his head. "I mean, look at that. It's the worst smile I've ever seen. No wonder most of them wanted to be set free." "Heard that. Let's get out of here," thought Naruto as he turned to Tsunade. "Bachan." Tsunade snapped out of looking at Sai's eerie smile before handing out instructions to those around her. "Right, let's see. Naruto and Yugito-chan, can you please take Danzo to Inoichi?" said Tsunade as Naruto nodded his head and shifted Danzo for a speedy trip. "He knows you'll be arriving shortly and he'll handle things from there. Good job on the mission and everything, by the way." "Just doing the necessary," said Naruto as Yugito wrapped an arm around his waist and they were gone in a shunshin. Tsunade nodded her head before turning to Kakashi. Kakashi, you can do whatever you want, said Tsunade as Kakashi lowered his book with a raised eyebrow. Tsunade let out a sigh. Within the limits of the law. Kakashi raised his book back up. Roger that. I should have just left before you could add that last part, said Kakashi as he turned around. Ja-ne. Seeing Kakashi disappear in a puff of smoke, Tsunade turned to Sasuke. And finally, Sasuke, being that you're the new root captain and highest member of the root Anbu, I need all of these shinobi accounted for. All of them? Yes, all of them. I need to know their skill set and a general view of their experience. I leave that up to you, said Tsunade before walking up the wall of the underground base to leave. Make sure to have that on my desk at 8 a.m. sharp. Hokage-sama, it's 2 a.m. now. This will take at least half a day. Oh, right, how about when you can make it then? I need to get my beauty rest, said Tsunade as Sasuke nodded his head and Tsunade left the underground base. Sasuke knew that Tsunade had a meeting at 7 a.m. with the advisors and would be getting woken up by her assistant, Shizune. Shizune knew nothing of these dealings with Danzo and as such wouldn't know not to wake her. I'll let her be surprised, thought Sasuke as he found a clipboard with paper on it. Sasuke then looked out over the balcony before letting out a sigh. 288 shinobi. May as well get on with it. Sasuke popped a squat as he figured there was no time like the present. Alright, who's first? Several days later. It had been 5 days since the impeaching of Danzo took place. No one in Konoha knew of the secret activity besides those that were there that night and Konoha's council. The council grew outraged at Tsunade's brash decision, but Tsunade reminded the two that she was Hokage and that was the end of the discussion. Danzo's execution was handled with extreme caution and done unknowingly to the Konoha populace. Danzo was never a regular face in Konoha, so his disappearance would go unseen and unheard of by anyone who didn't know him personally. Despite Danzo's actions, Naruto still lobbied for him to be buried by his best friend and rival, Sarutobi Hiruzen. Tsunade agreed and even added his name to the memorial stone. Danzo's greed and selfishness were bad, but his love for Konoha was definitely top 5 of any shinobi in the village's history. No one could deny that. But that was in the past and Naruto was a jonin of Konoha and Anbu captain. He had missions to attend to, and for that reason, Yugito found herself waking up alone this morning. Yugito's eyes opened wearily before she let out a yawn that sounded more like a purr. Naruto-kun is gone again, thought Yugito as she stood and headed to the bathroom to handle her morning duties. Walking out of the bathroom, Yugito let out a sigh. I was hoping to go with him on a mission. I feel so out of practice. Well, that's not true, kitten, came the serene voice of Yugito's bijou. You definitely beat down on those root Anbu. And they were top-notch. If anything, you're stronger. Yugito nodded her head to Nibi as she laid out some clothes. Yeah, that's right, I guess. It's just I haven't done a real mission in almost a month. I haven't even heard much from Kyumo since either. This is getting depressing, thought Yugito in reply, and she stepped in the shower. Nibi waited a few minutes to allow Yugito time to cleanse herself. That is true. But then again, you may have jinxed yourself, said Nibi, and Yugito turned the water off and stepped out of the shower. Grabbing a towel, Yugito began to dry off. I hope so. I'm tired of just being here. I need some action, thought Yugito as she walked out of the bathroom. While walking out of the bathroom, Yugito noticed Naruto standing in the room looking at her with a smile on his face. Not the kind of action I was talking about, but it's definitely better. Hi Yugi-chan, said Naruto with a grin before he walked over to her. Naruto leaned in for a kiss that Yugito was happy to give. Just before their lips met, Yugito noticed a note attached to Naruto's back. Ugh, said Yugito before she decked Naruto in front of her with a punch. Naruto grew a pained expression on his face before dispelling in a poof of smoke. Stupid clones. Yugito snagged the piece of paper that fell off the clone's back as Nibby decided to add her 2 cents. I don't really think it'd be cheating to do it with a clone of his. In fact, he could make a few clones and you could have a threesome or a foursome. Wait, he could make 1,000 of himself and that'd be dash. Yugito blushed a serious red as she cut the connection with her bijou off. That would be so weird. And it is cheating since the clones aren't Naruto. They are clones given their own consciousness. Meaning they aren't my Naruto, thought Yugito before adding. Well, maybe I could ask. And you should ask, said Matatabi, and Yugito nodded. Yugito then shifted her head in surprise. I thought I cut the connection. Meh, what does this note say? Questioned Yugito in her mind before she read through it. Yugi-chan, glad you're up. I have a mission to do and I was hoping you'd come along with me. Bachan thinks it'll be good for you to get out of Konoha for a while. And after we're done, we'll have a 1-week reprieve in Kyumo. So get your pretty little buns ready and meet me in the Hokage's office. Toodles. P.S. I think you smell nice. Yugito smiled at the letter before getting excited. Yugito quickly got dressed in her normal Kyumo attire sans headband and packed for the upcoming trip. Yugito grabbed her pack before locking Naruto's apartment and performing a shunshin to the Hokage's office. Hokage Tower. Yugito arrived in Tsunade's office as she smiled seeing Naruto sitting in Tsunade's chair with his back to her. No one else was in the room outside of her and the Kyubi Jinchuriki. Yugito knew the trick behind his sensory ability and knew he could not sense her presence. Planning to sneak up and attack him, Yugito stopped as his voice permeated the air. I knew you'd be happy, said Naruto, spinning around in the chair to see Yugito let out a huff at being found. How do you do that all the time? I thought you couldn't sense my presence. But you always manage to speak before I can surprise you. Honestly, I was wrong the last 3 times in doing that. But now you're here and so am I, said Naruto before appearing in front of Yugito. Naruto captured Yugito's lips in a sweet but short kiss before ending it and smiling. Good morning by the way. Yugito came down from the impromptu but sexy kiss as she grinned at the blonde before her. Yugito then lunged back at Naruto as she began to make out with the Kyubi Jinchuriki since that small kiss wasn't enough. Naruto and Yugito began to battle for dominance again as Naruto once again won with illegal use of the hands. Picking Yugito up by her backside after grabbing it, Naruto placed her on Tsunade's desk. Just before things could get hot and heavy, a cough rang out that stopped the 2 groping and kissing Jinchuriki. Ahem, said Tsunade as Yugito and Naruto blushed. You can do that when this is your office in the future. Until then, I don't need the mess or image in my head. Unless you let me film it and I can make money off it. Yugito and Naruto's blush deepened before Naruto looked to think about actually allowing it. Naruto turned his head to see Yugito shake her head no before they heard another voice. Damn it Haim, said Jiraiya as he made his presence known from the windowsill. It was just getting better. Why'd you have to ruin it? Tsunade looked at Jiraiya ready to say something before closing her eyes and walking over to her chair. Looking up at the 2 blondes, Yugito still on her desk with Naruto hunched over her, Tsunade spoke. Since you are all here, let's get started. Your mission is not an easy one, said Tsunade as Jiraiya stepped down from the window to lean on the wall behind her. You all will be going to Amegakure. Naruto perked up along with Yugito. Amegakure? I thought that place was closed off, questioned Naruto as Jiraiya nodded his head. It is. However, that's where my sources say the Akatsuki's home base is. They've already collected 6 of the 9 that they'll be coming for you both very soon. B-sama won't go down so easily, said Yugito before adding. But then again, who would have guessed they'd get this far? I'm guessing we are going to America to try to bring the fight to them? Correct you are. Be warned, this is an S-rank mission and you will likely be facing 2 to 4 S-rank ninjas in the process. If you don't feel up to it, you can back out. Jiraiya was originally going to go at it alone but figured why not take backup since Akatsuki is still at least 7 members deep. Exactly, I'm not saying I couldn't take them but I'd rather be safer than sorry, said Jiraiya as his face took on an unnatural seriousness. However, this is a very dangerous mission and like Tsunade said, if you don't want to risk it, do not come. Naruto looked at Yugito who looked back at him. Unspoken words were shared between the two as Naruto nodded his head. Naruto turned his head back to Jiraiya before flashing him a smile reminiscent of Jiraiya's first apprentice, Minato. Well, I can't let my sensei go on a mission like this alone. So, I'm definitely coming so that I can make sure you stay alive to shell out more wisdom to the youth, said Naruto as Jiraiya smiled. And Yugi-chan is coming because she wants to watch my back and make sure that I stay safe and not get in over my head trying to take them all on alone. It'll be perfect. Especially considering you're a spy master, Yugi-chan is the best at espionage in Kyumo, and I am just plain awesome. We'll be fine. Glad you're confident, brat, said Tsunade as Naruto nodded. Now get Yugito off my desk and head to the west gate. Jiraiya will meet you there in a second. I have something for him. Naruto was ready to fire off a comment trying to get at Tsunade wanting to speak with Jiraiya alone, but from her tone and the seriousness of the mission they were about to undertake, Naruto just nodded. Placing his hand on Yugito's thigh, the two were gone from the room in a shunshin. Tsunade let out a breath before she got ready to speak to Jiraiya. That notion halted as Jiraiya tapped a hand to her shoulder. No need to say it, Haim. I know, said Jiraiya as Tsunade smiled at her teammate. Plus, if you were to say something like that it'll only jinx that one of us may actually not come back. So let's not even go there. So what should I say? Questioned Tsunade as Jiraiya smiled to himself. How about a bet? Chirped Jiraiya with a grin. We all come back alive, I win and you go on a date with me. A proper date. There's no need to worry about if I cannot, we'll all be coming back. Tsunade looked up at Jiraiya, who looked back down at her. Seeing Tsunade nod her head, Jiraiya smiled. Then it's settled. I'll see you when I get back, Haim, said Jiraiya as he jumped to the windowsill. Make sure you wear that black dress. You know, the one I like. You better come back. All of you. For that black dress, I'd move a mountain, him. See you soon. Jiraiya was then gone in a shunshin. Please come back. You and Naruto are all I have left besides Shizun. 3 days later, Sasuke sat in a meditative pose in his family's home with his eyes closed. Sasuke had been like that for several minutes before he opened his eyes. His Sharingan was on as he looked to see a rude Anbu bowing before him. Sasuke Taicho, we have found missing Nin, Uchiha Itachi. Sasuke nodded his head before he noticed something off about the ninja. In the blink of an eye, Sasuke had a Chidori pierced through the ninja's chest that straightened the bowed ninja up to look Sasuke face to face. Taking off Anbu's mask with his other hand, Sasuke saw a face he hadn't seen since right after the Chunin exams. The tear troughs on his face combined with the slashed headband and Sharingan, Sasuke's own eyes widened. Itachi. Seems you have gotten better, Sasuke-kun, said the now revealed Itachi. I guess it is time to settle this. That Itachi vanished into crows leaving Sasuke alone. I guess it is time, said Sasuke with his Mangekyo Sharingan on immediately. Sasuke's vision blurred slightly but he nevertheless walked out of his house ready for the events to come. The moment I've waited for since that night and since I failed after becoming a Chunin. This is it. And I'll be sure to come out victorious this time. Vanishing in a shunshin, Sasuke appeared beneath Konoha in Root's underground compound. Standing on one of the barren training grounds, Sasuke looked out to see Itachi standing there alone. So you've come, said Itachi before he turned to look at his little brother. Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan was out and on full display as his eyes pierced into his brother's Mangekyo Sharingan. So you have awoken the same eyes as me. No need for words. Explanations, questions, and statements can be said later, said Sasuke, flowing through 7 hand seals as he spoke. All there is now is to fight. Sasuke molded chakra into his chest and in doing so, missed the small smile that adorned Itachi's face. Sasuke thought Itachi as his own chest puffed up in response to Sasuke. Katan, Gakakyu no Jutsu, fire style, grand fireball technique, said the Uchiha brothers as they blew out large streams of fire toward one another. Amegakure. Does it always rain here? Questioned Yugito as she and Naruto stood on the outskirts of Aim. I mean, I understand that the village is literally named Village Hidden in the Rain, but it's like a non-stop downpour going on. We've seen this village for at least an hour now and the rain has not stopped in the slightest. Yugito was correct. Amegakure was raining constantly, it seemed. The thing Naruto noticed about the village though was the fact it looked more industrial. Look at the buildings of Yugi-chan. It looks high-tech, said Naruto as Yugito nodded her head. And since we're approaching the village, may as well get with our disguises. Disguises? Questioned Yugito as Naruto nodded his head. Well, I guess that makes sense. We have no weapons because Jiraiya-sama said there would be a full check of our person. So what are our disguises? Are you going to be Menma, the writer, again? No, said Naruto with a smile on his face. I'm going to be Mr. Matatabi to your Mrs. Kitsune Kurama. What do you say? As Naruto asked that question, he pulled out a pretty engagement ring that held a beautiful diamond in its center. Oh Kurama-kun, you shouldn't have, said Yugito as she held out her left hand to allow Naruto to slide the ring on. Matatabi then proceeded to kiss her husband before the two embarked closer to Aim. Well, I'm sure Sensei will get in however he does it. He definitely can't go through the gate since he never changes his appearance. Now it's up to us to get past the gate without being recognized, said Naruto as he held Yugito's hand. I'm sure we can manage that. Yugito looked at Naruto to see him with black hair, black square-rimmed glasses, black contact lenses to hide his blue eyes, and makeup on to disguise his whisker marks. Naruto looked like a totally different person. Though the same could be said about Yugito. Her hair was down and went all the way to her lower back. She was now a brown-haired woman with brown eyes and had freckles on her face. Mr. and Mrs. Kurama Kitsune, said Yugito before nodding to Naruto, and the two walked into the Rain of Aim to embark on their mission. It was time to face Akatsuki and they wouldn't even know what hit them if it was up to the two Jinchuriki. Highest tower in Aim, earlier. Looking out over his village was the leader of Akatsuki. His red hair was damp from standing out in the rain and his purple eyes were shining brightly in the dim light cast by the cloudy sky. Walking up behind the man in an Akatsuki cloak like his was a woman with blue hair. She had flawless skin, despite being in her 40s, which made her look no older than 20. Nagato, said the woman as the leader turned around at the mention of his name. How do you think things will fare with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? I heard his power has risen immensely. Even the Nibi could pose a problem. Nagato turned toward Konan and the gleam in his eyes was daunting. Do not worry, Konan. No matter how powerful the Kyuubi has gotten, said Nagato as the tiny pupil in his eyes widened slightly. He cannot contend with the power of a god, and you as my angel shall easily be able to handle the Nibi. It's only a matter of time until we capture the Hachibi and can finally go after him. Understood, said Konan before looking out the window. I wonder how Kisame, Itachi, Haiden, Kakazu, Deidara, and Tobi will fare against the Hachibi. He is a perfect Jinchuriki with years of experience with his bijou. Not to mention having to face all of Kyumo if they don't make it quick. Nagato nodded his head before answering. That is true, but we only need one of them to survive to handle getting the Jinchuriki ready for the sealing. And since our job is almost complete, even if we lose several members we will be fine. The only ones who can stop us are the Jinchuriki or Kages. And by the time they really realize how dangerous our plan is, it'll be too late. Doesn't it bother you that they haven't attempted to do something? Questioned Konan, and Nagato shook his head no. Not really. The world still believes Akatsuki started in Kirigakure and that Amegakure is still ruled by the tight-fisted Hanzo. We shall be fine here. It's one of the best covers in the world. Konan nodded her head before looking out over her village. Nagato did the same as the two just stared out at the steady downpour that covered it. You know, Nagato. Maybe one day you could stop the rain, said Konan, and Nagato shook his head. I can't do that. My chakra is in this rain. It is Amegakure's sensory defense, and I need a constant downpour to find out if anyone has entered our village that could pose a problem. If so, I'll dispose of them. Konan was about to argue that no one had entered AIM in a while before Nagato jolted slightly. What's wrong? Questioned Konan, and Nagato formed a small smile. The Kyubi Jinchuriki is here, said Nagato, picking up the powerful Jinchuriki the moment he stepped into the rain. And he brought the Nibi and Jiraiya-sensei. Seems like we'll be able to take our targets now and be rid of the only man who has come close to stopping us in the past. Be ready, Konan. This is the beginning of the end. Can you really call that torture? Questioned Yugito as she and Naruto walked out of a local bar. Though the bar actually was a toad which morphed down to its original size upon Naruto and Yugito's exit. Naruto watched the toad hop into the large lake as he looked up at the still rainy sky of Amegakure. Turning his head to Yugito, Naruto just smiled. Of course it's torture. Worked, didn't it? Questioned Naruto, pulling out a feather. The same feather. Naruto interrogated the two captured AIM genin to get information on Pain, the Akatsuki's leader. It'd work on anybody, even you. Naruto slipped the feather perfectly through Yugito's trench coat as he hit her right in her side. Ah! Stop! Shouted Yugito in the middle of the street as Naruto attacked her with the feather. Luckily no one was around to see as Naruto began with question 1. Do you love me? Said Naruto as Yugito began to cry from laughing and fell to the ground as Naruto never relented. Yes, strained Yugito, seemingly helpless against the feather. Am I the hunkiest guy in the world? Said Naruto again as Yugito shook her head no. Naruto pulled out another feather. Seems that you're lying. Double time. Naruto Menma, whatever the hell your name is, said Jiraiya as Naruto stopped assaulting Yugito. Kitsune Kurama, said Yugito on the ground as Jiraiya nodded. Though Jiraiya was one of the AIM genin, they were just tortured. Gamadera, Kageatsuri no Jutsu, Toad Flatness, Shadow Manipulation Technique, said Naruto, noting the technique the Toad Sannin was using at the moment. So that's how you're supposed to use that jutsu. I liked it better when Naruto used it and made you fondle yourself. Yugito internally shook her head at her bijou before Jiraiya went over the plan once more. We know that he, being the leader, is in the tallest tower now, said Jiraiya as the two Jinchuriki nodded. I'll head through the west side, while you two go toward the north before splitting. If you see an Akatsuki member, do not engage them. Rather jump out to the sea and shoot up a flare. There, the other two will join and will whip some Akatsuki ass free of civilians or AIM ninja interference. Everybody got it? The two Jinchuriki nodded again. Great. Let's get to it then. The two Jinchuriki vanished in a shunshin as Jiraiya walked off to begin his own part of the plan. With Nagato still perched in the tallest tower was the redhead leader of Akatsuki, Nagato. Dressed in his Akatsuki cloak, Nagato placed his hands in the ram seal. Konan, I'm going to stop the rain. Use your jutsu and locate all three of them, said Nagato, channeling his chakra as Konan nodded her head. When you do, I will face the Kyubi Jinchuriki, and you will handle Jiraiya and the Nibi Jinchuriki with 4 of my paths. Here we go. Just as the rain stopped dropping, Conan fluttered into hundreds of sheets of paper before blowing past Nagato through the opening in the tall tower. "Here in a few minutes, Kyubi, I will defeat you," said Nagato as his 6 paths walked up behind him. "You made a mistake coming here." "Nagato, are you sure you're ready?" questioned the masked man behind the Akatsuki leader. Nagato said nothing as he simply leaped off the ledge. The masked man gave a nod. "Then it is settled. Good luck. You will definitely need it." Same time, underneath Konoha. 2 fireballs battled each other as Sasuke faced off against Itachi. Sasuke dominated Itachi in the battle as the fire moved closer to Itachi with every passing second. "Seems I may have been wrong," said Itachi, now standing behind Sasuke with a kunai ready. Sasuke turned an eye toward Itachi before dispelling in a puff of smoke. "A shadow clone?" The fire that once was close to Itachi immediately turned back due to Sasuke's disappearance. The fire steamrolled the Itachi clone as Itachi's eyes went wide due to Sasuke stabbing him through the chest from behind with his sword. "I'm not the same kid from back then," said Sasuke as Itachi smiled slyly to himself, unseen by Sasuke. "So it seems," said Itachi as Sasuke turned while letting his sword go. As he turned, Sasuke placed a hand over his wrist as several shurikens appeared. The Itachi Sasuke stabbed dissolved into crows as another Itachi appeared in front of him. Sasuke tossed a shuriken that was met midway with one from Itachi. The 2 Uchihas began a sequence of shuriken and kunai tossing as clanging rang out from the metal hitting metal. Sasuke ran out of shuriken as Itachi flung 2 more of Sasuke's own shuriken back at him. Grabbing his sword again, Sasuke blocked both of the shurikens before watching Itachi jump back as a masked root ninja appeared in front of Sasuke with his tanto cocked back. "Sasuke Taicho." "No, this is not your fight," said Sasuke as Root Anbu turned to look at him. "I will fight him alone. Just make sure that he doesn't leave this place if he defeats me." "Understood?" As Sasuke said that, dozens of Root Anbu appeared across the balcony as they all nodded their heads. The Root Anbu between the 2 brothers nodded his own head before jumping back up on the balcony to watch the fight. "Seems you've taken over this program in Danzo's place," said Itachi as Sasuke simply stabbed his sword in the ground. "As I said, no more talking," replied Sasuke as he let lightning course through his sword. "Chidori Kuken, Chidori sword." An electric surge sparked across the ground erratically and was widespread as it forced Itachi to jump over it. That proved unwise as Sasuke met him in midair with a Chidori in hand. Just as Sasuke readied to stab into Itachi, he noticed something off about the Itachi in front of him. "Chidori Iso, Chidori spear," said Sasuke as the Chidori in his hand extended into a spear that stabbed cleanly through Itachi. As soon as the lightning pierced Itachi, he detonated in an explosion. Another clone. Sasuke landed on the ground before catching a quick movement out of the corner of his eye. Moving his head forward, Sasuke dodged the punch from Itachi as he felt his brother wrap that arm around his neck. Sasuke attempted a punch to Itachi's gut that the elder Uchiha blocked easily before he brought Sasuke face to face with him. "He got me." Tsukiyomi, Moon Reader. Amegakure, with Naruto. "Thank you," said Naruto, still disguised as Kitsune Kurama. He received dumplings from a woman as he walked away from her store. Naruto split up with Yugito several minutes ago, having decided he'd head in on the backside of the tower while Yugito went through the front door. Naruto walked away from her store as he looked up. Naruto now stood in front of the tallest tower that the Akatsuki leader should be in. Naruto vanished in another shunshin as he appeared on the side of the tall tower. Walking up the side of it that faced the lake, Naruto attempted to remain unseen by any of the villagers. Naruto scaled the tall tower, keeping chakra to his feet to stay stuck to the building. Naruto jolted slightly as the sixth sense he garnered from his time with Jiraiya was going haywire, the same sense that most high-level shinobi have after years of experience. "My oh shit sense is going off," thought Naruto before wondering why. "I don't sense anyone near me." What's going on? Kurama, am I tripping? I don't know. You don't know? I thought your sensing abilities were better than mine. Oh, they are. It's just, I don't know what tripping means. I thought you said our personalities were merging. And you've seen everything in my life. How do you not know what tripping means? Questioned Naruto again as Kurama gave him a shrug. Did you just shrug at me? Naruto could feel Kurama's grin. Of course I know what tripping means. But no, I can't feel anyone near either, replied Kurama before adding. But that doesn't make sense. Your oh shit sense isn't ever wrong. Even mine is going off. That's what I'm saying, said Naruto in reply before he and Kurama heard a voice. Hello, Kyubi. Naruto turned his head and got a glimpse of the red-headed man before getting hit hard by an invisible force. Naruto went sailing through the air as he regained his bearings before gracefully landing on the lake. You will be captured here today. Digging into his ninja pouch, Naruto tried to make headway of what just happened. What just hit me? And it looked as though he was floating in midair, thought Naruto before pulling out his flare gun. Pulling the trigger and letting the flare fly, Naruto saw the redhead appear in front of him again atop the lake. This time with two others beside him. A girl with orange hair and another guy with long orange hair. Kurama, what's up with their eyes? Naruto, those are the same eyes as Gigi. The Rinnegan. How do this guy and two others have the same eyes as the Sage of Six Paths, thought Naruto as the male with orange hair rushed him. Naruto parried the punch that came as he then blocked the follow-up kick from the man. Gripping his leg, Naruto tossed the man away before looking and seeing the girl flow through hand seals. Kuchios no Jutsu, summoning technique, said the girl as a large bird appeared underneath her that took her and the redhead into the air. Naruto looked up at the two before ducking the punch from behind by the orange-haired man. Naruto grabbed the guy's wrist before flipping him over his head and down into the lake below him with a splash. Naruto, above you. Naruto saw dozens of eggs falling from the sky. The bird from earlier was dropping them, and as an egg hit the water, it detonated on contact. Naruto attempted to jump out of the way only to feel the first guy grip his ankles from under the water. Naruto's eyes went wide when 3 eggs landed next to him. Boom! A large explosion rocked the area around the Jinchuriki as water splashed up high. Nagato and the girl beside him looked down at the explosion before noticing no sign of Naruto. Without turning his head, Nagato moved a hand directly at the now airborne Naruto behind him. How? There's no way he noticed my approach, thought Naruto before feeling the same invisible force from before. Naruto went sailing backward again as he tumbled on top of the water before stopping and sinking. As he sank in the lake, Naruto heard Kurama speak again. The Rinnegan eliminates blind spots. The 3 of them all share the same field of vision, said Kurama as Naruto listened. I'm sure you felt how cold that orange-haired male was. He's a reanimated body. Reanimated body? How is that possible? Questioned Naruto as the makeup and hair dye began to disappear in the water. Naruto's normal appearance began to shine through as he tried to make headway of what was going on. If he was an Edo Tensei, he wouldn't be cold. Is that the power of the Sage of Six Paths? And speaking of 6 paths, there's only 3 of them. Where's the rest? I hazard to guess they are with Yugito and Jiraiya. If he knows you're here, then I'm sure he knows they are as well, said Kurama before adding. And no, the piercings on their skin allow them to move. I'm assuming the redhead is the original and as such is controlling all of them at the same time. The guy must have amazing mental prowess to do all that, thought Naruto before biting his thumb underwater. Handling the shared vision while also coordinating them. Pretty impressive. Do not tread lightly, Naruto. This is not an opponent you can mess around with. I didn't get to spend much time with Gigi nor see him fight, but he did seal the beast he created me from on his deathbed. A beast mightier than me even without my chakra that fully forms it. Understood, thought Naruto in reply before placing his hand directly below him. Kuchiyos, summoning. Nagato continued to stare down at the spot Naruto sunk into the water for any sign of the Jinchuriki. My human path saw the boy come up behind me from the water. He's much quicker than the report said. This is a problem as I'm not fully capable of fighting while coordinating all of my paths. It's more difficult than I first thought Nagato before seeing a large orange toad rise out of the water with Naruto on top of his head. Seems he summoned a toad. My animal path will deal with that. Kuchiyos no Jutsu, summoning technique. Landing on the lake below, the female path slammed her hand down. A large poof of smoke occurred as Naruto and his summon disregarded that and took aim at Nagato. Katan, Gameu Enden, fire style, toad oil flame bombs, said Naruto spewing out oil as Gamakichi fired out a torrent of flames. Nagato's bird flew down and out of the way of the large-scale fire attack as he then looked down to see a dozen Narutos coming from underneath the water at him. Let's see how you handle this. His jutsu was aimed like that to get me closer to the water so his clones could get me, thought Nagato before pointing a hand down. However, it's too late. Shinra Tensei, Almighty Push. Another invisible force ripped through the air as it threw the clones asunder and they dispelled on contact with the water below. Naruto received the information from his clones as he processed it internally. He didn't use that jutsu immediately, thought Naruto turning his head at the human path still on the lake. He saw those clones coming but waited until they got close. That either means he couldn't use the jutsu until they were within a certain distance or there's a time limit between uses. Roughly 10 seconds or so. Naruto's thoughts ended as from the poof of smoke by the female path, a large two-headed dog came rushing out at him and Gamakichi. I got this, said Gamakichi as he unsheathed his sword. The dog continued its charge as Gamakichi timed his strike perfectly. Cutting cleanly in the spot between the two heads, Gamakichi sliced the dog into two. Gamakichi and Naruto grew surprised when the dog actually split into two dogs that now stood on either side of them. Whoa, said Naruto as he stood on Gamakichi's head facing one dog while Gamakichi looked at the other. Can it split like that? But then again, I don't have time for this. We need to start taking them out and find Jiraiya-sensei and Yugi-chan. They haven't made it here after I sent my flare. Naruto looked to his right to see the male path coming for him. Turning back forward, Naruto saw the dog coming as well. Naruto slammed his hands in the snake seal. Mokutan, Jukai Koten, wood style, a nativity of a sea of trees, said Naruto as a forest sprang up from the lake immediately within a second. The trees captured the path and ensnared both dogs in their branches. Gamakichi did a spin as he sliced through the dogs cleanly, this time with blood spewing across the water. Before Gamakichi's spin, Naruto was already jumping at the captured path with a charged-up Rasengan in hand. Nagato received the view of his path and animal summons before getting the views of his other paths that were with Jiraiya and Yugito. Seems I was wrong to separate us. With my powers being split and me now being in the battle, I can't use Deva path as often. And it's harder to control them when they are separated and my focus is drawn to the Jinchuriki, thought Nagato seeing his other paths, losing to the team of Jiraiya and Yugito. I can solve that now. Kuchiyos no Jutsu, summoning technique. Naruto slammed his Rasengan into the path and as it began to ground its way into the man's stomach, he vanished. Naruto was shocked as he let his Rasengan dissipate. Turning around, Naruto now saw 7 people besides him and Nagato. Nagato sat perched on the bird above them as Naruto stared at his 6 paths and a blue-haired woman. The first 2 paths were the girl and guy he'd been facing. Though the guy looked down for the count as the Rasengan still hit home despite him being summoned. The others were a spiky-haired orange guy, a bald tall one, a spiky-haired but slightly older one, and a chubby one with an orange ponytail. Though the bald one and chubby one all looked hurt as well. Not only can he summon those weird creatures, thought Naruto as the two dogs seemed to heal and separate again into four dogs that surrounded him and Gamakichi on the lake. But he can summon his other people as well. Maybe that's how those two in Kyumo got away. Jiraiya-sensei is stronger than we thought and the pain wasn't moving like normal against them, thought Konan looked mildly hurt as she looked at Naruto. He must be strong if he can keep Nagato busy whilst killing a path himself. Do not fret, Konan. We will handle him now before those two can join, said Nagato as Naruto's muscles tensed along with Gamakichi. Bro, what are we going to do? Naruto jumped on top of Gamakichi's head again before clapping his hands and then holding his fingers in a cross sign. We are going to stall until Sensei and Yugi-chan get here by attacking wide. And you know which jutsu I want to use first, said Naruto as Gamakichi smiled. Gamayu Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Toad Oil Shadow Clone Technique. All around, dozens of Narutos spawned to life. Nagato grew impressed with the boy as he noticed him now outside of the dogs and facing all of them with his clones surrounding them. And to make sure he can't use that jutsu, thought Naruto as a clone appeared beside Nagato in a shunshin. Nagato noticed the clone and the large Rasengan in its hand as he simply blasted it away with another Shinra Tensei. 10 seconds. He doesn't waste a moment. And with Deva Path out of commission for a moment, 8 seconds, thought Nagato turned to see Gamakichi hold the tiger seal while Naruto placed a hand to his back. He used the smoke created by the clones to get away from us. Wonder what he'll do now. So many clones, thought Konan before noticing all of them just smirking. Why do they have that look? Nagato's eyes widened when he realized that the toad was building up fire chakra. The Naruto clones turned to oil that settled all across the lake in a wide area in front of Naruto and his toad. For seconds, I won't make it in time to block this. He's going to dash. Katan, Choshinsei, fire style, supernova, said Naruto as Gamakichi blew out a powerful torrent of wind-enhanced flames. The fire reached the oil and immediately spread across the lake in a fiery explosion. Nagato's dog summons a fire before dispersing in a poof of smoke. That worked better than I thought it would. Shimaba-sama never let us fully use it on MT Mayaboku. I have to say, that is everything I thought it would be, said Gamakichi before turning his head to the large bird in the sky. Seems he managed to summon them though. At least we got the dog. I'm sure that would have annoyed us. Naruto also looked up to see Nagato atop his bird with all of his paths and Konan with him. Of course he can summon too, why'd I think it'd be that easy, said Naruto as he then noticed the path he killed standing. The others who looked hurt were fully healed as well. Wait a minute, what's going on? Nagato didn't allow Naruto the chance to figure it out as his 6 paths came charging after the Kyubi Jinchuriki and his large toad. Konoha, Hokage's tower. Sure so, are you okay? You've stared at that mission report for almost 30 minutes. Yes. I'm fine, just worried is all, said Tsunade as Sakura nodded her head in understanding. It'll be fine Tsunade-sama, said Sakura with a small smile. None of that worrying gets you anywhere according to Naruto. He'll be back. All 3 of them. Tsunade nodded at Sakura just as Shizune walked in the room. Yes, but you know what happens if they all come back, right? Said Shizune, causing Sakura to smile and Tsunade's eyes to widen again in worry. Little black dress. Tsunade could see Jiraiya's lecherous eyes on her as she shivered slightly. Why did I have to make that bet? Thought Tsunade before turning back to the paperwork. The root Anbu are being integrated well, kinda. Speaking of root, I wonder what Sasuke is doing. Probably nothing important. Underground, root base. 71 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds, said Itachi standing in his Tsukiyomi with Sasuke. Itachi watched on as he made Sasuke relive the night of the massacre. Only this time, through Itachi's viewpoint. It seems your eyes aren't strong enough to stop this genjutsu. Sasuke could only agree as his body moved to its own accord and continued to cut down Uchihas left and right. Itachi watched Sasuke slay all the Uchihas and could see a tear forming in his eye. Itachi's eyes widened, seeing it was a tear of blood. As if the entire world was made of glass, a large split broke it in half. Then another split followed by another and another. That continued to happen over and over until the world crumbled and they were brought back to reality. In reality, Itachi still had a hand to Sasuke's neck while his mother gripped Sasuke's fist. The only difference, Sasuke's left eye spun fast before coming to a stop. Pain hit Sasuke hard as he felt Itachi push him away before backing up. Itachi clutched his eye as the pain hit him as well. "You broke it," said Itachi, still standing with a hand over his eye as he looked at Sasuke, still on one knee with a hand over his eye. "You broke my Tsukiyomi." Sasuke shakily stood up as he looked at his elder brother. "How's your eyesight, Itachi?" Itachi just stared out at Sasuke as his vision only allowed a blurred, shadowed version of his little brother. "You can barely see, right?" Itachi never answered Sasuke as he moved his hand down and looked at Sasuke. "I know yours aren't as bad as they should be," said Itachi as he added. "You have Naruto-kun's cells in you." Sasuke nodded his head as he touched the patch on his shoulder. "Yes, it definitely helps. But, it's not a permanent fix. Luckily, by the end of this battle, I'll have the permanent fix. You can't compete with me as you are now." Itachi gave Sasuke a daunting look as if saying, "How do you figure?" Sasuke just smiled. "Because I have more chakra than you. And my eyes can use more jutsus than yours. And if that wasn't enough, I'm already fighting a dead man. If I just stall, your sickness will kill you anyway." "Danzo, you knew more about me than you let on," thought Itachi, realizing how Sasuke received information on him. Sasuke then watched Itachi unzip his Akatsuki cloak before tossing it to the side. A reddish-orange chakra began to bask Itachi before he looked out at Sasuke. "If you're so sure, then I may as well show you my trump card now." "He's still fighting," thought Sasuke, seeing his brother's Susanoo. A purple cloak began to surround Sasuke as he activated his own Susanoo. This is just a formality at this point. Sasuke's Susanoo formed a bow and shield. Itachi manifested a sword and shield. A special sword and shield that Sasuke recognized. "That's the sword of Totsuka, and the Yata mirror. Orochimaru had been searching for them for so long and you had them both," said Sasuke, trembling as Itachi nodded. Sasuke fired an arrow at Itachi only for the Yata mirror to deflect it into the wall. "No, I won't lose. I can't lose. This fight is over," said Itachi as his Susanoo began making its way toward Sasuke, blocking Sasuke's Susanoo strikes with ease. "Your eyes are mine. My illness can be healed." Sasuke rapidly fired several more arrows, but just like before, Itachi's Susanoo blocked them all with the Yata mirror. "It's impossible to get past that spirit item. It's the perfect defense. And that sword seals anything it pierces," thought Sasuke as he felt his body racked with pain from the fast use of those arrows. "This is not looking good. I thought he would want to die." Itachi's Susanoo met Sasuke's in a clash as the two ethereal beings roared at one another. A power struggle ensued before Itachi's Susanoo simply stabbed through Sasuke's Susanoo's arm. "No, no, no, no," thought Sasuke as he felt his chakra leave him and get sucked into the jar that held the Totsuka sword. "It just sealed the chakra used to form my Susanoo." Was Kachan wrong about Itachi? Tears of blood were flowing down both brothers' eyes as they stared at each other. Sasuke could feel the pain inside of him as he struggled to look up into his brother's eyes. "How do you keep going?" said Sasuke before adding. "I have Naruto's cells and I can barely move." "I thought you wanted to die." Itachi just smiled at Sasuke before moving his hand to Sasuke's face. "It seems you were wrong, little brother," said Itachi as the moments with his brother flashed through Sasuke's mind. Forgive me Sasuke, this is the last time. Amegakure, tallest tower. Oh, it seems Nagato isn't used to his new legs, said Zetsu as he looked out at the fight between him and Naruto. His fighting is not as crisp as it used to be. Looking at the fight as well, the masked man sat right next to Zetsu. Maybe so. But that'll be good practice for him. And show him firsthand that he isn't ready to face the Kyuubi Jinchuriki as he is. True, the Jinchuriki hasn't even accessed his Bijuu's power yet, said Zetsu before adding, but Nagato does have his paths all together now and it should be interesting to see what happens. The other half of Zetsu decided to offer his own opinion. That is true. But as Toby said, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki has yet to show his full power. A power we really don't know the full extent of. I have a way we could find out though. Zetsu perked up hearing the masked man, keep watching Zetsu, I shall spark the Kyuubi Jinchuriki here soon and we'll see his full power. Or Nagato will simply capture him if his mind can't handle what I have to show him. The masked man disappeared in a vortex as Zetsu kept his eyes peeled on the fight. This will be entertaining. The white half of Zetsu could only agree with its counterpart. With Jiraiya and Yugito. They were summoned, questioned Yugito as she followed behind Jiraiya in her Jinchuriki cloak. Jiraiya sat in his Toad Sage mode with the two elders on each shoulder as he turned his head to the Nibi Jinchuriki. It's just a guess. I'm sure that they all went to Naruto because we were kicking their asses, said Jiraiya as he turned his head back. But didn't it seem too easy? There's no time to worry about that Jiraiya-chan, said Fugaku, the elder Toad Sage. We need to find Naruto-chan if he is facing more. We were fighting when the flare went up in the air and Yugito spotted us when she was running toward him. The boy could be in serious trouble. Maybe captured. No, that wouldn't make sense, replied Yugito as Jiraiya elaborated. Exactly, Naruto has to go last, said Jiraiya as he added. He is the Kyuubi and from what Gaara said, Shikaku was sealed in a statue. Meaning, the Kyuubi's weight would most likely destroy it if it were sealed in before all the others. A theory Naruto came up with. That may be true. But then again, if he already has 6 of them. Would it not be okay to seal the Kyuubi? Maybe the statue won't crack with those other 6 in there, said Shima this time getting Jiraiya to contemplate it. You could be right, it's just Naruto's theory and not a proven fact. But, we don't want to find out, said Jiraiya as he finally saw the lake. Jumping out on top of it, Jiraiya noticed a string of explosions occur. That must be where my apprentice is. Let's get there. Jiraiya then paused for a second as he looked behind him to not see Yugito. Where's Yugito? Questioned Jiraiya before seeing the Nibi Jinchuriki come jumping on the lake beside him outside of her cloak. Kids this way. Right, felt like getting rid of that disguise, replied Yugito as she followed behind the Toad Sage. With Naruto. Naruto came jumping out of the smoke caused by several explosions as he was missing the right sleeve of his shirt and his right pants leg was signed up to his shin. Blood covered several parts of his body and he had a bruise across his right cheek as he looked at the smoke cloud in front of him. Okay, this is way tougher now, thought Naruto as the smoke cleared and Nagato's 6 paths stared at him. The bald one was placing his forearm back into his elbow as if he was a robot. That guy is like a machine. The one with spiky hair can use that invisible force jutsu. The girl can summon anything it seems. The guy with long hair hasn't shown much but weak taijutsu skills. The fat guy with the ponytail can absorb chakra. The last guy, I have no clue. Above Naruto and the 6 paths, Nagato continued to fly above them on that bird with Conan standing next to him. And he can do what each of them can. The woman, I have no clue either. Naruto, it seems as if his movements are growing more and more polished as the fight goes on. I told you not to tread lightly. You're right, sorry about that, thought Naruto in reply as he let his Jinchuriki cloak form. The chakra formed around Naruto as his seal became visible along his body. Let's stop playing around, shall we? I wasn't playing around from the get-go. Your toad friend was and got beat up so bad he had to dispel back home, replied Kurama as he added. You need to find Jiraiya and Yugito or start using better jutsu if you plan on beating this guy. This guy could probably kill you if it weren't for your being a Jinchuriki, and it risks killing me as well. Yeah. That's not really helping me here. I need encouragement. I encourage you to not get us killed. Naruto merely laughed at his bijou. Naruto then noticed Nagato's paths rush out at him again. Ducking a kick from the long-haired one, Naruto vanished with pure speed to appear behind the old one with spiky hair who stayed back. Obviously he's the most important. He never engages in the fight, thought Naruto before getting blasted by another Shinra Tensei from Nagato's Deva path. As Naruto rolled from the jutsu, he landed perfectly in a full Nelson from Nagato's Preta path. Thinking he was going to easily overpower the path was a grave mistake by the Jinchuriki. Wait, what? I can't move. I told you to stop playing around. Naruto's cloak began to disappear as Nagato's Preta path easily began to absorb his chakra. I didn't know he could absorb bijou chakra too, thought Naruto in a panic, feeling an immense drain on his chakra. That is enough, Kyubi. This fight is over, said Nagato above them as he watched the Kyubi Jinchuriki slowly begin to lose consciousness. Naruto! Naruto! Shouted Kurama in Naruto's mind, but to no avail as the kid couldn't move. Nagato gave a small grin to himself before his eyes widened when the absorption stopped. That's enough of that, said Jiraiya, now standing behind the Preta path. Jiraiya came up from behind the path underwater and unseen by all of them before placing a kunai in the back of the path's head. Thought I already killed that one? The path fell lifelessly to the floor as Naruto's eyes fluttered before he opened them fully. Perfect timing, sensei, said Naruto as he stood up and noticed Yugito land beside them. I thought I was done. Sure looked like it. Guess you realize you should have taken him more seriously, said Jiraiya as Naruto frowned hearing Kurama say, I told you so, repeatedly in his head. Jiraiya summoned a small toad that swallowed the path whole before dispelling. That'll keep him away for good. Jiraiya-sensei, said Nagato as his remaining 5 paths all grouped to look at them. Jiraiya and Naruto looked at the redhead on the bird as Jiraiya's earlier suspicions were confirmed. Nagato, it seems you really are the leader of this group, said Jiraiya before adding. Why? Why did it come to this? I thought I taught you all better than this. Nagato closed his eyes before answering. Pain caused this, Jiraiya-sensei. And until you feel the same pain I did, you'll never understand. What pain could that possibly be? Questioned Jiraiya before hearing a voice come from behind him and Naruto. A voice that caused Naruto's blood to run cold. This pain, the pain of losing a loved one, said the masked man as he stood behind Yugito with a kunai to her back and his arm around her neck. Naruto turned around as his eyes widened seeing Yugito in that position. You won't kill her, you'd lose the bijou, said Naruto as even with that in mind, Naruto still didn't feel any more comfortable. Naruto began to build up his chakra so he could shunshin to save Yugito. You're right, but the bijou will reform. And I will get it then. However, watching her die in front of you will be so worth the wait. Time seemed to freeze as Yugito looked Naruto dead in the eye and mouthed I love you. Naruto watched the kunai slide perfectly into Yugito's back, killing her instantly. Naruto felt Yugito's chakra signature disappear as the masked man let her go, causing her to fall forward. Naruto appeared in a shunshin and caught the blonde-haired girl. Now you know pain, said Nagato as the masked man vanished in a vortex. Naruto fell to his knees and held the lifeless Yugito in his arms. Jiraiya simply stood still in shock as he watched Naruto's face go through several emotions. Naruto, said Jiraiya after a few seconds of seeing him sitting there with tears streaming down his face. Jiraiya then noticed Nagato's paths moving toward them as he turned to face them. This isn't good. Jiraiya-chan, we need to get out of here, said Fugaku, getting a nod from the white-haired man. We can't fight them while also trying to protect Naruto-chan. It was already tough when we had Yugito helping us. You're right. But we have to do something, and I'm certain we can't just leave. He'd catch us. It's over, Jiraiya-sensei. Just accept death. It will come easier that way, replied Nagato as Konan remained inwardly shocked about what just happened. He killed her. He killed the Jinchuriki. And Nagato let it happen. Thought Konan was looking at Naruto. She actually felt bad seeing his current state. All to get the Kyuubi Jinchuriki to feel pain. Was this the plan all along? Konan looked at Nagato, who continued to move his paths toward the three foreign shinobi. Konan's attention then shifted back to Naruto as she felt a chakra spike. Nagato's 6 paths stopped their advance at the chakra spike as well. Nagato's eyes widened along with Jiraiya's as they felt Naruto let loose an abundance of chakra. Jiraiya slowly turned around as he looked at his apprentice. He was glowing orange with Kurama's chakra and could see the red markings of his Sage Mode on his face. Sage Mode combined with the Kyuubi's chakra? I didn't even know that was possible, thought Jiraiya as the lake was rippling at Naruto's potent chakra. Naruto, are you really about to use that? Asked Kurama, feeling Naruto use as much of his chakra as possible. Kurama didn't receive an answer as Naruto continued to stare at Yugito with tears in his face. This boy, he's reached Hashirama's level of power in this state. Sage Mode and my chakra, what a combination. This is the power of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, thought Nagato, seeing and feeling the power of Naruto's chakra. Nagato's eyes widened as he barely heard Naruto call out a jutsu name. Senpo, Mokuton, Senbi, Sage Art, Wood Style, Thousand Tails, whispered Naruto as the ground quaked and a roar was heard from underneath the lake. No, that wouldn't make sense, replied Yugito as Jiraiya nodded. Just as Jiraiya began to speak, Yugito heard a voice in her head. Kitten, look out, shouted the Nibi in Yugito's head. Yugito stopped immediately from an invisible force. Yugito stopped as if a rope grabbed her, and before she could alert Jiraiya, a pure white hand covered her mouth. Yugito was then dragged backward and thrown toward a building in the opposite direction of where Jiraiya was heading. Despite the speed of the toss, Yugito managed to flip around and land gracefully on the wall before looking out at her assailants. It's a chameleon with weird-looking eyes. It used its tongue to stop me, said Yugito, looking at the animal that stopped her. That's the Rinnegan. The dojutsu of the Sage of 6 Paths. Oh, that's bad, huh? Yugito felt the Nibi nod as she prepared for a fight. The person standing next to the chameleon was a white man, slowly turning his appearance into her. An absolutely perfect copy of her down to perfect details. What's a henge transformation going to do? Hi, Naruto-kun. Sorry for dying in front of you, said the copy before she turned and sprinted to where Jiraiya left. Yugito frowned before watching the chameleon dispel in a puff of smoke. What just happened? I don't know, but it's not like I'm going to let him just take my place like that, thought Yugito before noticing a vortex appear in front of her and out stepped the masked man. It's this guy again. Hello, Nibi. You're not going to let me stop him, are you? Questioned Yugito as the masked man nodded his head. He'll never get past Jiraiya-sensei. A clone jutsu doesn't make up for a person's chakra signature. That is where you're wrong. That clone jutsu is special. He's your exact copy, said the masked man as Yugito's eyes widened. And when I kill him in front of Naruto, your boyfriend will react in one of 2 ways. He'll crumble and become useless. Or he'll destroy everything in his path. Each of which I'm fine with, as they'll serve a purpose. He crumbles, we'll capture him. He destroys everything, he'll show me his strengths so I can exploit them in the future. A win-win situation. So you just stay put. Naruto-kun, thought Yugito as she saw the masked man put up a barrier to keep her from trying to spike her chakra and alert him. It also served the purpose of not allowing her to leave as she realized it was a powerful barrier. I have to find a way to get to Naruto-kun before something bad happens. With Naruto present. Senpo, Mokutan, Senbi, Sage Art, Wood Style, Thousand Tales, whispered Naruto as he clutched the lifeless Yugito in his arms. The ground trembled as a thunderous roar was heard from underneath the water. Jiraiya, the toad sages on Jiraiya's shoulders, Nagato and Konan all bore witness to a massive wooden fox emerging from the lake below. Konan started with wide eyes as she saw how massive the wooden fox was. More than half the size of her entire village. Is this the power of a god? Thought Konan, baffled at the fox's size and the power it emanated. We can't compete with something like that. There's no way. Konan looked over at Nagato to see him unyielding in the face of the massive fox. Konan became surprised that Nagato continued with a fearless face, as no matter who you were, that fox was definitely imposing. Nagato may have seemed calm on the outside, but internally he felt the same as Konan. The fox stood at full height with Naruto sitting atop its head holding Yugito and Jiraiya standing there amazed at its size. This is something like a fairy tale, thought Jiraiya as he looked down at the fox to see all the tails swishing. Are there really 1,000 tails? Maybe those stories Sensei used to tell about what Hashirama-sama could do were true. This is inhuman. Sensei. What's up, kid? Is this real? Asked Naruto as Jiraiya empathized with the young man. He'd seen Tsunade go through the same basically. This is a genjutsu. There's no way, right? There's no way, there's no fucking way. The Kyuubi's influence is increasing. I know he has full control, but I can't help but subconsciously want to run for my life. The killing intent he's producing has me sweating, thought Jiraiya before seeing Naruto stand with Yugito in his arms and look at Nagato. I'm going to kill you, said Naruto as the wooden fox let out another thunderous roar that created a powerful shock wave. A wave formed from the power behind the roar as it made its way to the Rinnegan wielder. Naruto watched as Nagato and his paths defended against the mighty wave. While this happened, Kurama had a few thoughts. Something felt off about Yugito before she died, thought Kurama, knowing what he felt. However, he didn't want to tell Naruto this. Part of Kurama wanted to see just how strong his Jinchuriki was. The brat is finally showing it all. I've never seen him go all out. He never had the reason to. The wave died down due to Nagato's paths as they all looked up at Naruto on the fox. Naruto placed down Yugito as he looked at Yugito one last time before vanishing in a high-speed shunshin. Naruto landed just behind the 5 remaining paths who all jolted at the speed he moved at. I almost thought he was Minato for a second, thought Jiraiya was impressed at the speed. Shinra Tensei, said the Deva path pointing a hand at Naruto. The force ripped through the air at the Kyuubi Jinchuriki as the Deva path looked to see Naruto gone. There was a Rasengan settled in the middle of his stomach though. Rasen Senko Cho Rinbu Kozen Shiki, spiraling flash super round dance howl participate formula, said Naruto as 5 Rasengans were on the bodies of the paths. All of them were blown toward Naruto's massive wooden fox. The fox noticed the path's approach and timed their arrivals perfectly. A tail skewered each one of them before wood clones appeared to immobilize them. Konan grew more fearful as Naruto turned to her and Nagato. He annihilated the remaining paths as if they were nothing, thought Konan as she noticed Nagato leap off the bird and land atop the water facing Naruto. You aren't serious, Nagato. This is the second time Yahiko was taken from me, thought Nagato as he felt more power due to the lost connection between his paths. Let's see how you do now, Kyuubi. My power is concentrated. Naruto noticed Nagato activating a Jinchuriki cloak. Likely the chakra his Preta path absorbed from before. The two then met in a clash of orange versus red, Naruto clutching Nagato's fist and Nagato holding Naruto's other wrist. Azura path, said Nagato as an arm grew from his neck and shifted into that of a cannon. Energy began to form in front of it as it locked on Naruto's head. Just before the beam fired off, Naruto let loose a roar. Nagato flew back in ragdoll fashion from the powerful shockwave created. Naruto appeared and planted a kick into Nagato's sternum that sent him straight to his back on the water. "Just because you have my chakra doesn't mean you can compete against the real thing," said Naruto as Nagato felt the effects of the kick to his chest. "I wonder if you know the pain you caused me just now." "Of course. Shut the fuck up. I didn't ask you to say anything," said Naruto as he placed his hands in the snake seal. Naruto channeled chakra as his fox's eyes glowed before it let out another roar. A wood clone spawned to lift out the senbi as the clone looked over at Yugito. "I am going to show you the true definition of pain." Naruto's clone grabbed Yugito and jumped down off the fox with Jiraiya as the fox roared once again and jumped high in the air. Nagato noticed the trajectory of the jump and realized it was heading for his village. Nagato scrambled up and began a sprint toward Amegakure in an attempt at stopping the fox, but it was for naught. Naruto appeared in front of him and belted him with a fast punch that impeded him. Nagato clutched his chest again as he looked up helplessly as the fox landed just outside his village and began laying waste to it from the outskirts. People's screams rang out at the fox's appearance and explosions were heard over and over again. Nagato just stared wide-eyed at the fox beginning its attack on his village. "I believe it was you who said pain caused this, and until you feel the same pain I did, you'll never know the feeling. If that's the case and you want to share everybody's pain, then why not feel the pain Konoha did when their village was almost destroyed by the Kyuubi?" "Shinra Tensei," said Nagato as he blew Naruto away with the force of his jutsu. Nagato then made another attempt to get to his village, but the distance was too much and Naruto was already on him. Nagato needed to focus on the Jinchuriki or risk being blindsided and hit again. Nagato's punches and kicks weren't landing on the faster Naruto, but the time limit for another Shinra Tensei was up and he pointed a hand. 3, 4, and 5 thought Naruto was getting the timing down. "Shinra Tensei," said Nagato only to feel Naruto grab his wrist. Naruto smiled as he was hit again with the same invisible force but dragged Nagato with him. Naruto flipped through the air from the force of the jutsu, flipping Nagato with him, as a devious smile crossed his whiskered face. Naruto slung the Rinnegan user into the water below as he fell directly above him with a knee aimed at his head. Nagato hit the water hard but managed to roll out of the way as Naruto went careening into the lake below. Nagato made another attempt at going to his village but felt the lake rumble again. Nagato watched as a forest sprang up immediately around him, but at the tops of the trees were large orange flowers. Nagato watched the flowers bloom as an immense amount of pollen came fluttering down. "The pollen has a sleep-inducing effect," thought Nagato, covering his mouth and nose before waiting a few more seconds. Nagato placed both hands out as he let loose another Shinra Tensei. Nagato jumped out of the forest to see Naruto standing in between him and his village still. Only this time, Naruto had a captured Konan in his arms. "No, not Konan. I have 5 seconds to show you the same pain I felt when Yugito died," said Naruto with a tri-pronged kunai placed at Konan's neck. Konan normally would have been able to turn to paper and avoid the jutsu, but the chakra-suppressing wood entangled around the rest of her body stopped that. "Watching her die in front of you will be worth it." Nagato watched as Naruto moved his kunai back before moving his arm forward. "Enno!" shouted Nagato as Naruto's kunai made its way to Konan's neck. Konoha, root base. Darkness met him as he awoke with his eyes covered by bandages. He could feel his heart beating, so he knew he wasn't dead. Especially considering he could feel a presence to his right. There was one right next to him also as he spoke with a tired voice. "Is this heaven or hell?" questioned the man before he realized he was lying on his back. The man tried to get up but a gentle hand landed on his chest and held him firm. "Please don't move nor attempt to open your eyes," said a soft voice. "I healed you, but you won't feel 100% for a few days. I'm alive? A different voice answered him this time. Yes, you are Nii-san. It was Sasuke. The man was confused when he heard his little brother's voice. Knowing Itachi was confused, Sasuke spoke again. Sakura, if you could explain. Your sickness, I healed it, Itachi-dan. Sasuke-kun gave me the notes on it and I solved it from there. You were practically terminally ill since 13 and the fact you lived long enough till this point is nothing short of amazing, said Sakura as she added. And your eyes may hurt because I exchanged them with another set. EMS, Sasuke thought Itachi before realizing what Sakura said at the end. Exchanged my eyes? With whose? The ones that belong to the person who awakened your Mangekyo. Shursui. Your body accepted them easily. Shursui's eyes, then, you have my eyes? Yes, I can feel the power behind them and it's exhilarating, said Sasuke before getting serious. I don't truly know how you feel now. But I know the truth of the massacre. And I can reason with how hard it may be to live with something like that. Itachi was all ears listening to his little brother. So, you have two choices, Nii-san. If you want to continue living, I have a way to allow you back into Konoha's ranks. If not, Sakura can and will kill you painlessly with a lethal injection. It's your choice. Itachi laid still for several minutes pondering the thought as flashes of his life went through his mind. Eventually, Itachi allowed a small smile. What do you have in mind? Questioned Itachi as Sasuke smiled. Itachi then heard another voice in the room he didn't realize was there. Welcome back, Uchiha Itachi, said Konoha's Hokage, Senju Tsunade. Itachi's eyes would have opened in shock if not for the bandages wrapped around his face keeping them shut. Sakura noticed Tsunade's look and understood as she began to make her way out of the room. Tsunade-sama, thank you. Tsunade smiled as she walked out of the room with a few more words before fully departing. Heal up fast now. The world continues to spin and there are still bad guys to kill, said Tsunade as she walked out of the room after Sakura to allow the two brothers time alone in the comfort of the small room located hundreds of feet below Konoha. Amegakure, earlier with Jiraiya. Standing atop the massive fox, Jiraiya watched his student place Yugito down and vanish in a high-speed shunshin. Naruto, said Jiraiya as he watched his student lay waste to all of Nagato's paths in the span of a second after landing. Even Fukasaku grew shocked at Naruto's ability. When did Naruto-chan get so strong? The chakra he's emanating. This fox he created. And he's still able to fight with such vigor. Jiraiya-chan, did you know he was this strong? I had an idea beforehand, kind of. Then again, not really. I've never seen him full night before. The boy did train heavily using clones but I didn't think it would result in this, said Shima as the three-toed sages noticed a wood clone grow out of the fox right next to them. The wood clone grabbed Yugito as he turned to Jiraiya. We need to get off this fox, said the clone as he jumped off the fox, followed by Jiraiya. As they were falling, Jiraiya noticed the fox roar and jumped toward Amegakure. He's going to destroy an entire village, said Jiraiya as he looked at his apprentice. His personality really is becoming more like the Kyuubi. Fukasaku noticed Naruto's intent and hearing Jiraiya, he posed a question. His personality is becoming that of the Kyuubi? Seeing Jiraiya nod, Fukasaku realized the reason. He unlocked his seal. The Naruto clone nodded his head. And I know boss's thoughts. He will destroy that village given what he was thinking just then. Normally he wouldn't, but with Kurama and him sinking, it gave him some of Kurama's maliciousness. Which is a good thing, but innocent lives will be lost, said Jiraiya as he watched the fox begin its assault on the village. As the fox began, Jiraiya noticed Naruto stopping Nagato from advancing and attempting to protect his village with tall, flowering trees. The Toad Sages and Naruto's clone then watched as Naruto easily grabbed Konan as she became distracted with looking at her village and watching Nagato, trying to figure out which one she should protect. He's going to kill her in front of Nagato. Don't do it, Naruto-chan, said Shima, even though she knew the girl was Akatsuki. She didn't want to watch Naruto kill someone solely off of revenge and with evil intent. Jiraiya and Fugaku felt the same but knew they couldn't and wouldn't stop him. Jiraiya's eyes then perked up as he felt a familiar chakra spike come from Amegakure. Yugito's alive. With Naruto. "Eno," shouted Nagato. Is Naruto's kunai headed for Konan's neck? Naruto's kunai pressed into Konan's neck but didn't draw blood as he stopped just before. Nagato looked at Naruto, shocked to see him not kill her. Naruto removed his kunai as he shook his head. This isn't me. My sensei taught me better," said Naruto slowly as he put his kunai away. You didn't do it?" questioned Nagato as Naruto looked at him. "Why?" "Because I dash." Naruto stopped when he felt a chakra spike. His heart nearly jumped out of his chest realizing who it was. "Yugi-chan." Naruto turned to Amegakure as Nagato moved to free Konan. Naruto's senbi stopped its assault on aim as Naruto's wood clone dispelled, dropping the other Yugito. The original Naruto vanished in a shunshin as his fox jumped back out to the lake, ending the attack on Amegakure. Yugito stood still, having flared her chakra moments earlier before she took off her disguise. The barrier the masked man created was crushed by the swing of one of Naruto's senbi's tails and Yugito took immediate advantage of that. The masked man noticed the barrier dispel and upon Yugito flaring her chakra, he left her realizing the Kyuubi Jinchuriki would immediately head this way. He was proven right as seconds later, Naruto appeared in a shunshin still accessing his Sage Jinchuriki mode. Naruto stared at Yugito as his heart stopped aching from the events that happened earlier. "Please tell me this is real," said Naruto as he walked slowly to the blonde girl. "Please tell me this is real. Say something, please." Naruto stopped in front of Yugito as she could feel Naruto's emotions fluctuating wildly. Yugito wrapped her arms around his neck as she whispered in his ear. "Yes, Naruto-kun. This is really me," said Yugito as she felt Naruto slowly moving his arms around her to hug her back. The other me was a clone. Some kind of special clone that guy made somehow. I saw your fox. Are you okay?" "No, I wasn't." Yugito felt a tear land on her shoulder as she moved her head back to look at Naruto's face. Naruto kissed Yugito, full of emotions, as he moved his head back and another tear of joy fell from his eye. "I thought I lost you. I thought they killed you." "I'm here, Foxy-kun," said Yugito with a smile when Naruto laughed at the nickname. Yugito kissed him in return and wiped his face clear. "I'm sorry you saw something like that." The two then looked up and noticed hundreds of AIM shinobi staring at them. Naruto could feel the emotions of the AIM ninjas as Naruto understood their feelings. Naruto just stared as one of them pointed his sword at the two Jinchuriki. "You dare come to Amegakure and attempt to destroy it," shouted the man as his sword trembled. His sword trembled not because of how angry he was, but due to how scared he was at what he saw just now from the fox assaulting part of his village. Naruto looked the man in the eye as he nodded his head. "I am sorry for the destruction I caused your village," said Naruto as the man looked shocked at the apology. But dash, started the man only to hear a voice cut him off. "Stop," said Nagato as all the AIM shinobi looked over along with Naruto and Yugito. All of Amegakure's residents grew wide-eyed at the man as they dropped their weapons and bowed. "Our fight is over. No harm will come to the two of them." "Pain-sama," said the man before feeling Nagato appear before him and raise his head. "Please stand." "My name is Nagato," said Nagato as the man nodded his head. Nagato walked over the Kyuubi Jinchuriki with Konan following behind him. Nagato stood before Naruto as his Rinnegan met Naruto's sage Kyuubi eyes. "How do you do it?" Naruto grabbed Yugito's hand a little tighter before feeling Yugito give him a reassuring squeeze in return. "How do I do exactly what?" questioned Naruto as Nagato elaborated. She died in front of you. It may not have been her, but there's no way you knew that before she spiked her chakra, especially considering your actions that followed, said Nagato before adding. So how did you not kill Conan? Or even allow your fox to fully decimate my village? You could have made it land in the heart of my village, but instead, it only attacked the remote area that Hanzo lived in that no one comes close to. There were no deaths, barely any injuries. How do you not succumb to your pain and want revenge on those who caused it? I almost didn't. I wanted nothing more than to kill you, Conan, and your entire village. But what would that solve? Questioned Naruto before exhaling a breath. Jiraiya-sensei taught me that this world is full of hate and that hate only causes more hate. It's a never-ending cycle. If I kill you, who's to say one of your ninjas or some ninja that followed aim wouldn't come and attack me and my village, taking away more of my loved ones? My goal is to stop the cycle and bring the world to true peace. And I'd be going directly against my goal if I did exactly what I wanted. How can you say that? How do you know your goal won't change? Or you won't fail? Questioned Nagato as Naruto channeled his chakra and the orange fox on his exposed right arm glowed a bright orange. A poof of smoke occurred as a book dropped out that Naruto caught. This world is cursed and because of that, peace is impossible. Then, I will break that curse. If there is such a thing as peace, I will attain it. I promise, said Naruto, getting Nagato's eyes to go wide. You've proven to me that I won't change. Even after you killed the girl of my dreams, I still didn't succumb to the pain and change. Maybe it's because of this book. My name, Naruto, does come from the main character's name. The Tale of the Utterly Gutsy Shinobi written by Jiraiya, the Toad Sage. I may not know exactly how to find that peace, said Naruto, placing the book back into his seal. But I know that I've tried and will continue trying. And if in the end, my method doesn't work, then I'll move on to the next. And continue until I find it. I won't give up. I will never give up. That's my ninja way. Nagato allowed a small smile to grace his face as he looked at the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Naruto, come with me. We have many things to discuss, said Nagato as he turned slightly with Conan following his movements. Naruto looked at Yugito, who only nodded her head before he looked out to see Jiraiya smiling at him. Naruto saw Jiraiya mouth the words, "Way to go Gaki," as he smiled heavily at his sensei. Naruto then walked behind the redhead leader of Amegakure with Yugito holding his hand. He planned to never let it go. At least for a few hours. The AIM ninjas that gathered around the Jinchuriki all paused at that as they looked at each other. The fuck just happened? Questioned one of them as several around him agreed. I mean, yeah, he didn't kill any of us, but he attacked our village. An elder ninja nodded his head but disagreed. You're right. He did attack us, but then again, he didn't kill anyone. Frankly, he only destroyed the part of the village no one ever goes to. That huge plot of land that once belonged to Hanzo turned into ruins, said the elder ninja as several other conversations began to ring out around him. All of them ended when the ninja pointed out to the lake. Plus, if we were to fight him, that thing would come back. A thunderous roar sounded out over the lake from the Senbi as many of the AIM ninjas stopped their chattering and just nodded their heads. You're right. Let's just go back to drinking and let Nagato-sama handle it. 3 days later, Konoha main gate. Tsunade-sama, they're coming back, said Sakura watching as her sensei walked back and forth around the main gate as she bit nervously at her fingernail. Sensei. Tsunade stopped moving as she looked at Sakura. I'm sorry Sakura, they were supposed to be back by now. Or at least made contact with me to let me know they are alive, said Tsunade as Sakura could understand. Naruto and Yugito are both going to Kumogakure afterward, said Sakura before adding. Only Jiraiya will officially come back here and when he does, I'm sure you'll be the first one he contacts. Tsunade gave a small smile. Thanks, Sakura, said Tsunade before adding. But still, they are late and I can't help but feel this way. Sakura just nodded her head, but before she could speak, an enormous poof of smoke occurred directly in front of them. This is where Naruto got that from, thought Sakura. Was from that cloud of smoke, Jiraiya appeared standing atop a toad. That is just, there's no reason for any of that. From the sacred lands of the T-, started Jiraiya, only to be gripped into a bone-crushing hug from Tsunade, appearing in front of him on his toad. Jiraiya just smiled as Tsunade let him go and smiled at the much taller man. I missed you too, Tsunade-heim. What took you all so long? I thought you all would be done there sooner. Did you all run into trouble? Was Naruto or Yugito hurt? Are you hurt? Jiraiya picked up a hand to stop Tsunade. We are all fine, Heim. Yugito and the kid headed to Amegakure for her reprieve, said Jiraiya, picking up a photo of the two smiling and looking healthy just one day prior. Jiraiya then bit his thumb. And it took us so long because of this. In a poof of smoke, a toad appeared as it opened its mouth wide and a scroll came rising out of it. Jiraiya grabbed the scroll before the toad dispelled himself and Jiraiya handed the scroll to Tsunade. Tsunade opened the large scroll as after a few minutes of reading, Tsunade gasped sharply. Amegakure, they want to join our alliance, questioned Tsunade as Jiraiya simply nodded his head. Tsunade then noticed the several shinobi listed on the scroll as she pointed at one of them. Akatsuki members, it has the skills of each of them on here. I'm assuming Naruto copied this info and is going to give it to the rest of the alliance. Jiraiya just nodded his head. Yeah, the kid did it all. And I can't wait to tell you how, said Jiraiya with a grin as Tsunade just looked at him with narrow eyes. Okay, get to telling them. What's stopping you? Questioned Tsunade as she noticed Jiraiya's grin turn lecherous. I'll be glad too. Tonight, on our date, said Jiraiya as Tsunade's eyes widened. Little black dress. Tsunade just blew out a sigh before accepting her fate. One date, said Tsunade as Jiraiya just nodded and said he'd pick up the Bustikage at 7 sharp. Sakura just smiled before Tsunade reminded her that she had something to take care of today, causing her to leave the main gate to attend to it. Tsunade just headed to her office to gather a few items before heading to where Sakura went, under Konoha, root base. Still laying down on the small beds in the remote room, Sasuke laid in his own bed next to Itachi in his bed as they waited. The two brothers then heard the door to their room open as they felt one person enter the room. It's time. Who's first? Sasuke just sat up in his bed as he smiled slyly. Untangling the bandage around the back of his head, the entirety of the bandages fell from his head as he sat with his eyes closed. Opening his eyes, Sasuke gasped at the new design. They're beautiful, said Sakura as Sasuke moved to the mirror in the room. Standing in front of it, Sasuke looked at his eyes. Sasuke's eye didn't change much from his regular Mangekyo, the only difference was that Itachi's Mangekyo appeared in the middle of his, just straighter and no longer curved. Sasuke just smiled at the change as he could feel the power radiating off the eyes. I need to test these, said Sasuke as he noticed Itachi standing right behind him. Moving out of the way, Sasuke watched Itachi unravel his own bandages. Itachi opened his eyes to see his own eternal Mangekyo. Itachi's normal Mangekyo seemed to evolve as instead of just a tri-bladed shuriken, Itachi's eyes were now 8 lines, all arching out from the center of his eye. It almost looks like a Dharma wheel. Both of your eyes. They look beautiful. Itachi smiled as he brought his hand into a fist and flexed his muscles. I'm free of the illness. It really worked, said Itachi as he looked at Sasuke. You said you needed to test your eyes? I need to do the same and feel out my body. I feel healthy again. Let's do this. 10 minutes later. Sasuke laid flat on the ground with Itachi standing over him with a small smile on his face. Tsunade and Sakura stood just a ways away as they both had shocked faces. Uchiha Itachi is an animal, thought Tsunade had watched the spar just now between the two Uchiha brothers. How much did that illness affect him? And now that it's gone, how powerful is he? He's like Naruto in that aspect. He made it look effortless. Sasuke had the same idea as he was thoroughly handled by his elder brother just now. It wasn't even close, said Sasuke out of breath as he laid on the ground. I felt like I was 6 again. How strong are you? Itachi just continued to smile. Get stronger and you may find out, said Itachi before seeing Tsunade land on the ground in front of him. Itachi then noticed there were some items in Tsunade's hands. Is that? Yes, said Tsunade as she held an Anbu uniform in her hands and some documents. Uchiha Itachi. I, Senju Tsunade, pardon you of all crimes against the land of fire and Konohagakure as a whole. You are a free man and your wanted picture will be removed from every bingo book. Itachi stood still after hearing that bit of information. Having been on the run for so long and having to hide his face, he was finally free. Granted, he knew that people may still come after him and he still wouldn't be able to show his face in Konoha from his previous actions, but he was free. Even though freedom came with his death in the real world. And due to your circumstances, started Tsunade, continuing with what Itachi already knew would happen. You've been drafted into Root as its first commander. Congratulations. Sasuke will guide you for the next couple of weeks while you get assimilated and used to the Root program. Remember, we'll want people to think you're dead and that Sasuke killed you. That's why he has your eyes to prove it. However, you may want or need to go to the mainland eventually and I have a way that you can. You're going to disguise me? How is that possible, Hokage-sama? Questioned Itachi before seeing Tsunade point to herself. A special henge that only I know. And is unbreakable unless you run out of chakra, said Tsunade as Itachi just smiled. Maybe I am blessed by Kami, thought Itachi as he got ready for the weeks ahead. Amegakure, same time. I am blessed by Kami, thought Naruto as he stared perversely at his longtime girlfriend getting dressed. Yugito knew Naruto was staring at her and was moving about it in a way that was unbelievably hot to the young man. Okay, that shimmy at the end is just taking it overboard. Yugito buckled her pants, having shimmied, to put them on as she turned to Naruto. Whatever do you mean? Questioned Yugito before smiling cheerfully at the flustered young man standing in her room. It was surprising that even though she'd been gone for nearly 2 months, her apartment still stayed clean and paid for. Likely her rakeage doing to make sure she still felt at home when coming back to Amegakure. Yugito then watched Naruto fidget due to the tightness in his pants. Ah, Foxy-kun. You liked what you saw, huh? Heh, the only thing I saw was you. And whoever said I liked you? A 1,000-tailed fox assault on Amegakure could attest to that fact, said Yugito smiling as Naruto just rolled his eyes. But don't worry, I'll take care of my sweet little Jinchuriki. For now, come on. We have to go or we'll be late. Who is this for again? Questioned Naruto holding up the present in his hands. Naruto rattled it around until Yugito popped him on the hand. Ouch. Don't be a baby. And it's for B-sama. It's his birthday and luckily, instead of sending that present as I planned, we came here and I can give it to him in person, said Yugito, holding Naruto's hand after disciplining him. And we can't be late to the party or we'll be denied entrance. B is like that. I always hear about this guy. Kurabi, better known as Killer B, but I've never met the guy. Yugito perked up hearing this. You've really never met Kurabi-sama? Questioned Yugito as she walked hand in hand with the Kyubi Jinchuriki and led him seemingly off into the mountains that surrounded Amegakure. Naruto just shook his head as Yugito couldn't believe it. Well, I guess you only come to see me usually or just to drop off a scroll. You'd never really get the chance to meet him. True, is he as annoying as everyone says? Everyone's perspective is different. Some people adore him, like his students and much of Amegakure who attend his rap concerts. Some people can't stand him, like me and the Raikage Dano. But you can't help but love the guy. He's amazing when you really get down to it. He'll grow on you, that's for sure. Well, I can't wait to meet this guy. How long is this walk by the way? Questioned Naruto as Yugito held up 5 fingers. 5 miles? Why can't we just run there? We could, said Yugito as she then looked at Naruto. But I want to hear all about what happened in Amegakure. You still haven't told me and there'll be nothing better to do in the meantime. I might even take you behind one of these mountains and have my way with you if you do. Naruto grew tempted at that as he'd been opposed to having to retell one of the worst moments in his life. Yugito did have the right to know. And frankly, who didn't want Yugito to have her way with them? 5 miles away, Amegakure. I'm Killer B. The best MC. My flow is hearty, time to start this party. Yeah, rapped a man with brown skin and a tattoo of bull horns on his face. He wore the standard outfit of a Kumo shinobi with a long scarf wrapped around his neck that hung all the way to the floor. On his back though, the man had 7 swords strapped to it and a pair of sunglasses hiding his eyes. B, the party doesn't start for another 2 hours, said the Hachibi in B's head. Maybe you should save your raps for then. Maybe you're right. But I can flow all night. Yeah, rhymed B in his head as he felt a few people appear outside his home. Seems some people are here. Birthday party about to appear. Yeah, Kurabi walked outside of his small cave as he looked out at the people standing there. Kurabi's demeanor shifted as he noticed that it was 4 people all donning cloaks that only one group wore. Akatsuki, said B as several of the members smiled. B recognized all of them as he looked. Standing before him were Haiden, Kakuzu, Deidara, and Kisame. Hachibi, said the IWA bomber, Deidara, as he looked at the Jinchuriki. Kisame, can you handle him? Make it fast because once you start fighting, the whole of Kumo will be coming and we'll only be able to hold them back for so long. Kurabi then watched as the tall, blue-skinned member of Akatsuki grinned at him and placed that huge bandaged sword over his shoulder. Hoshigaki Kisame, a pleasure to meet you, said Kisame as he grinned and went running toward the man known as the perfect Jinchuriki. Amegakure, same time. Came the pained scream of Nagato as his body felt on fire, starting from his legs up. Nagato couldn't control his body anymore as he looked up to see the masked man holding a hand seal. What did you do to me? You think you could just betray me and not receive consequences? Questioned the man as he added. Not only did you not beat Kyubi, which I would have been okay with if he defeated you, but you allowed him to leave. Leave with information on all the members of Akatsuki. I'd have done this sooner if I didn't think he'd stop me. There's nothing you can do about it, said Nagato with a smile despite his circumstances. It's already been done. And even if I die here today, there'd be nothing you could do to stop Naruto. You can't beat him as you are. I know it and so do you. Even with your special jutsu, you'd have to touch him and in that instant, he'd kill you without hesitation. You've already lost. You're just prolonging the inevitable. That is where you're wrong, said the masked man as Nagato noticed Zetsu appear in the room as well. Nagato began to struggle against Tobi but it was futile really. You think I wouldn't have safeguards if you ever betrayed me? Those cells that I used to reconstruct your legs were created out of Zetsu. Meaning, 20% of your body is of my creation, a creature I control. And due to it syncing with the rest of your body, I essentially control you as well. Nagato knew it was useless the moment he felt the stinging sensation. He knew this day would come but he didn't realize the masked man had such a leg up on him. Nagato laughed at his own pun. The 2 days Naruto stayed in Amegakure made the young man really grow on Nagato, even though the first quarter of that they were enemies. It seems I won't be able to see the true peace Naruto will bring about in the world, thought Nagato as he closed his eyes in a short prayer. Do well, Naruto-kun. I believe in you. Nagato then felt Zetsu melt over his body and take control of his hands as he formed a hand seal. Geto, Rinne Tensei no Jutsu, Outer Path, Samsara of Heavenly Life Technique, said Zetsu for Nagato as he forced the Rinnegan wielder to channel his chakra. Nagato felt the strain immediately from the technique as blood rolled out of his nose and his hair immediately turned white, along with his body turning frail again. Nagato also turned back into the old man he looked like beforehand as his technique took effect. Zetsu melted back off of Nagato as the once redhead let out a few shallow breaths. Who did you bring back? Questioned Nagato as the masked man walked over to him. That's of no concern to you, said the masked man as he placed a hand over Nagato's eyes. Holding his hand there for a few seconds, the masked man then pushed the dying man down as he took both his Rinnegan out. Thank you for collecting at least 6 bijou for me. But with your betrayal, you're useless to me. Especially as you are now. Goodbye, Nagato. The masked man left in a swirling vortex as Nagato was alone. I'm sorry, Conan, thought Nagato with his last breath as his body finally gave out on him. Conan would eventually come up from running errands to find him and surely be devastated. Nagato prayed she'd stay strong and lead Amegakure to peace in his death. Naruto would surely help with that, and that allowed Nagato to die with a smile on his face. Unknown location. The masked man appeared in a devoid-looking place that had what appeared to be a fossil of a dinosaur as its building structure. The masked man took a deep breath before walking inside of his hideout. It was a short trip to where he could feel another man sitting in his hideout. You actually went through with it, said the man with a smile on his face as the masked man just nodded his head. The masked man then handed the man the 2 Rinnegan as he easily placed them both back in his empty eye sockets. Feels good to be back. Glad to have you back, Uchiha Madara, said Zetsu as the man looked up with both Rinnegan shining bright. And that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time. Later.